Welcome back
did
to the
did
Ghoul
it.
Show, everyone. The gabbing of the ghouls, where we, the hosts of Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies, talk about the movies we've watched in between the horror movies that we've watched to talk about horror movies.
Oh my god.
Nailed
Horror
it.
movies.
Yeah. Cheers.
Nina's drinking a hot chocolate with peach schnapps right now,
No.
allegedly.
I meant peppermint.
But I, on the
okay,
other
I didn't
hand-
know about the hot chocolate when you mentioned the schnapps. If you were putting peach schnapps into a hot chocolate, that would be fucking weird.
It would be awful.
Maybe
as
it's a
bad
mix
as you guys
that
are
works. We
saying.
don't know until we
you
try.
There is
try.
always
We
a
try it.
possibility that it does work, but I know a lot of people think chocolate and orange work really well as well, and I'm really not a fan of that, actually.
Incorrect.
That is a
I
classic
like
I
chocolate
think
combination.
she's valid.
I like an appropriately balanced lemon with chocolate.
okay.
If you do it right, but I think that is my limit when it comes to citrus and chocolate mixing.
I think I've been conditioned into liking raspberry and chocolate.
because of me.
No, that's just
No.
good.
Strawberries
I don't
and
know.
I
chocolate.
love raspberry chocolates. Honestly, red fruit and chocolate
Red
goes
fruits
great.
and chocolate are made
Apple
for
is
each
not
other.
red fruit.
Apple is not
Yes,
red fruit. It's
skin.
white.
wait, what?
They're
Yes,
white.
it
You
is.
cut them open, they're white.
Yeah, it's an actual because you get tasting notes on shit that say red fruit and they mean
They
red
mean
on the inside
pomegranate,
fruit.
and they mean cherries, and they
So how do
mean
you think about
red
what do you
currant.
think about pomegranate and chocolate?
Good.
Good.
Amazing,
I like
incredible.
pomegranate and chocolate.
Is that actually a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you never had pomegranate seeds that are covered in chocolate, kind of like a chocolate-covered raisin or perhaps coffee bean?
Not
I
really.
guess that's an appropriate comparison.
So what about these ghouls, huh?
And what
yeah.
about these ghouls? Thank you, Peach Schnapps, Nina.
Don't call me that.
Now, I shalt invoketh my host privilege and go last.
Oh, shout
Okay.
you. Okay.
I shalt.
I am
But I
very
got 18.
excited for Noah's ghouls because
Yeah, Noah has
has
some of
watched a
his-
couple more of my movies.
I didn't watch that many between recordings.
No?
Mm-hmm.
No. I think what did I watch? I'll go first.
Okay.
I watched Hellraiser Revelations and Hellraiser Judgment, which closes out my Hellraiser watch. I think that's all of them. I might not watch Hellraiser 4.
You should watch Hellraiser 4.
Seems like you
I
should
don't know.
watch Hellraiser 4.
I don't remember why I skipped that one. But
We had skipped it because we wanted to watch a bad Hellraiser.
Of course.
And I said Hellraiser 4 is not bad yet, so let's skip it for when we want a good one. Even though it's not a good one, it's a fine one.
I'll come back to it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Revelations is frustrating because plot-wise, it gets back to a lot of stuff that the original two did. But writing and shot composition and cinematography and just everything and lighting and everything about it wise, it looks like a porno. So
Yeah, no, it's truly atrocious. It has the MCU grayscale filter put on in a no, that's not fair.
that is not fair.
It has the DCU
It's not
grayscale
even
filter
I
put
would not
on.
even put it I would not put this film anywhere close to a DC or Marvel film simply because it looks so amateur. I could never even compare it to a movie that like a major studio put out. It literally looks like a student film at points. It's so bad. The effects are fine. The effects are above average, but the acting, the writing, and the visuals all suck so much.
There's like
Is
a
it like-
really truly standout bad moment where the one friend who has been Cenobited is calling from beyond the grave, telling his friend, "You gotta kill that girl and then I can come back." And then he reaches through the mattress and he grabs his friend's arm and he's like, "See, this blood's bringing me back. You just have to kill a few more people, man."
Just a few more people,
And
bro. I'm gonna resurrect.
It makes no sense because the way that they do those plot points in the original movies, you know, there's reasons, but with this one, there's not. Jade and Emma both had questions, I think.
I not a question, a correction. I do believe the past tense of Cenobite is Cenobit.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yes, of course.
And Emma, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, is the quality level on par with a porn production that's trying to have a story?
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh. And I'm assuming
Yes.
we're talking like contemporary porn to the time, not the current stuff, obviously.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
lemon
yeah.
stealing whores.
Nice.
Yes, it's lemon stealing
But
horse.
it's not
It
fun.
is.
Holy shit!
It
Lemon
is.
stealing horse Hellraiser. I'm
Yes.
sold on this from that description.
I think it's worth watching.
Pinhead's in the corner, and he's just like, God, Chatterer, I hope no puzzle box stealing whores are around. And then Frank's in the back room fucking the puzzle box.
Oh my
Right,
god.
right.
So I think a couple things could have been done to save this movie. One, it really needed another pass at the script. A lot of the just dialogue was it just needed another revision.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, really frustratingly, one of the main characters has never slept with a woman before and is going on a bender to Mexico with his sister's boyfriend to find a prostitute is kind of the plot, and that's where they find the puzzle box. And frustratingly, this virgin brother character is playing the role of Julia, bringing more people to bring his sister's boyfriend back to life, and incredibly frustratingly, this never gets gay.
What?
Wow.
How?
I was literally about to say this does sound like a porn setup.
And I'm really annoyed because I think that a lot of problems could be solved if we gave these two main characters sort of a Billy and Stu dynamic, which they kind of seem to be going for, but they dropped the ball really hard by the end.
Huh.
So that would be my kind of pitch.
Maybe the
to-
producers were like, nah, it can't be gay. Don't do that.
I don't think gay ever approached their minds. I don't think gay was within 10 miles of the front door to their minds. So no.
At best, homophobia was there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there either.
It
might
was
have
not
been.
a.
Don't quote me
It
on
might
that.
have been. It wasn't. Yeah. Okay. So that's Revelations. I don't really have much more to
What a
say about it. It was
disappointment.
really bad.
Wow.
Oh, Pinhead looks really bad in this one.
No.
He looks bad. He sounds bad. Hashtag not my Pinhead. Hellraiser Judgment. We watched the next day. I have mixed feelings on Hellraiser Judgment as well for different reasons. I certainly liked it more. The visuals are great. It looks like a Nine Inch Nails music video.
Oh.
I'm obviously thinking of the Closer video.
Oh, sure.
It's got that 2000s kind of grit and charm to it. A lot of the gore is really fun. There are a lot of fun set pieces. I'd say the most fun I had was within the first 20 minutes when they have this like one little short arc that they do where they kind of set up how the Cenobites are going to work in this movie. My main problem that I had is that they fucked the Cenobite lore real bad in this one. They kind of undo a lot of the stuff that I like about the Cenobites. They make them too active. I like it when the Cenobites are passive. And then I think the other main problem I had is that this is kind of a spoiler, but it's only a spoiler because you're gonna, if you know what I mean, then you're gonna see it coming when you watch it anyway. The main plot of this one has the same exact like setup and twist as one of the plot lines in American Horror Story Hotel. Like
Oh, no,
literally
that's the one that I've seen an episode of.
there's a serial killer plot in American Horror Story Hotel, and this is the same plot, the same gimmick and the same twist. So, yeah, that bothered me when I saw where it was, when I recognized like the matching up of the serial killer's gimmick. I was like, oh my God, this is just like American Horror Story Hotel. And then the moment I realized that, I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna have the same twist, isn't it? And it straight up did. So that bugged me, and I double checked. I am 99% sure that this movie filmed and aired after Hotel. So
Yikes.
you know how bad of a horror movie you have to be to rip off the rip-off show? That's incredible.
It's a truly standout moment. Yeah.
Yikes.
So yeah, that's Hellraiser Judgment. I still really liked the gore. I liked the character of the Auditor, even if I don't like what he means for like Cenobites. And I liked the Auditor's relationship with Pinhead. A character does call Pinhead like out loud another member of like the Cenobites, or like Heaven calls him Pinhead to his face.
Also, Heaven is in this one.
Heaven's in this one. There's an angel that dresses, I think my friend Baz said this, and I think it was really eloquent. He said that she looked like a character off of Supernatural.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
As in,
So
like, wings noises, and then it's just some guy in a jacket?
it's a girl
Who also looks like a porn star.
who looks like a porn
whatever.
star and acts like a porn star. But yes. Yeah, there's wing noises. There's some weird filter on her voice, but it is just a woman.
Now, I am
yeah.
not immune to weird filter on voice, but you gotta really
course.
be doing something with that.
But this is like
thing.
a bad weird filter. It's like the
Yeah.
most stereotypical expected filter you could put on a voice for an angel. It was just boring.
Not even like a
So-
shimmer reverb or something cool.
It's a lot of reverb, that's for sure.
That's probably not a shimmer though. That honestly, that wouldn't make sense for a voice. I don't think it would probably be a problem.
You'll have to watch it and tell me.
I'll have to try putting a shimmer reverb on somebody's voice and then find out.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you put a
that's
shimmer
probably
reverb
better-
on a voice, it sounds just like this.
It does. That's true. It's
Jamie,
exactly
fix
like
that.
Jamie did it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jamie.
Other things that I watched, I had a couple off of my Make Noah watch this list that we did watch. We watched Pete's Dragon and Lady Hawk, but those aren't horror movies. I
When
will
has
say,
that stopped us from talking about them before?
Yeah, you're the only one who filters by that, honestly. I just talk about
Listen,
what the fuck I've watched.
I
We're gonna talk
also
about a
try to-
Hallmark movie in a few minutes.
I try to filter by that because I usually rock in here with like 15 movies. So
Yeah, for you,
I will-
it makes sense as a rule.
I will say Pete's Dragon is exactly the way I remembered it, but maybe a little better. The stuff that I found boring as a kid was not as boring as an adult.
Well, that's cool.
I found out that the character that gives me gender envy is played by the same person who read the Harry Potter audiobooks you guys listened to as children.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
yeah,
The guy who
that was a
Oh my god.
Yeah. He's great in Pete's Dragon, I promise. He is my...
Wait. I gotta find this man. What's his name?
I think it's Jim Dale, I believe is his name.
I'm Googling Pete's Dragon and I'm gonna find him from the cast.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it.
Well, his name is Jim Dale.
He plays Dr. Terminus.
Why
His
is
name is
that
Dr.
his
Terminus,
name?
by the way.
Why
Because
is that his name?
he's a quack doctor in the 1900s.
Oh no, he's in Hogwarts Legacy as well. Oof.
That's unsurprising.
I mean, yeah.
If he did the audiobooks, of course they came back to him for this.
Yeah, it seems like
And
he's
he's
done
like-
a ton of Harry Potter shit, actually. Oof. Yeah, we don't like this guy.
I mean, yeah,
I don't.
he's also 100 years old at this point.
Also
What
true.
else? We watched Lady Hawk.
He
What
was in For Your Eyes Only.
was he? What did he do
was
in
Was he the
there?
pistachio
Gogol's
smuggler?
helicopter pilot.
Oh, that's good though.
That's a good role.
Okay.
That's a
I
good
missed
role.
that.
That's really funny. I also don't know the theme song well enough to carry on that bit, so I feel really
For
bad.
your
Damn.
eyes only. Come on.
Is that
Yeah,
really
sure.
it? I don't.
Yeah.
I
think-
don't think
okay.
that's it.
It's the closing music.
Anyway, we watched Lady Hawk. I made Noah, Jade, and Jade's wife watch Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
And I still love it. So that's all I have to say on that. I won't get any further into that one.
It's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
a fun movie. My personal feelings about Matthew Broderick notwithstanding, it's a good watch.
Exactly. It's really, really hard for me to get past my feelings about Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
But I think my feelings about Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer help that a lot.
They
so.
definitely do. And that other guy.
Um,
I loved the priest dude. He was fucking fantastic.
he
the
was
whole
so
time.
fun. And what's his name?
Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina's surprisingly a really fun minor character.
Well, I mean, how is that surprising? That's his whole fucking career.
Yeah, true. Okay, what else? Noah and I watched Saw 3, 4, 5, and 6, and my feelings on them remain, which is that 3 is so much fun and I love it. 4 is so fucking forgettable. 5 is fun. And I think I liked it more on this watch. 6, borderline a masterpiece. Saw 6 is my favorite Saw movie, heads and tails above all the other ones.
Oh yeah.
I had forgotten one of the major twists, so it hit me just as hard this time as it did the first time I watched it, which is it's a fucking gut punch. It makes me so happy. So Saw 6, still the best Saw movie, maybe one of my favorite movies ever. 10 out of 10. The only problem is that by the time that we get to that, we don't get Hofstrom anymore. And Hofstrom is like a big thing to me. So Yeah, I think that's it. I don't really want to talk about Stealth. Still sucked.
Yeah, all right.
Well, okay. I can go next, I suppose.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So, I only watched a few movies. Literally, I think 3. Let me see. Yeah, only 3. One of them being the movie that we're going to talk about today in the episode. So I won't talk about that one. So really, I only have 2 movies. The first of which is the movie that's sweeping the nation, Wicked.
Hot Frosty?
No. I thought about watching Hot Frosty, honestly.
I have thought about watching Hot Frosty several times.
I haven't even heard about it. What is this?
It is
Oh,
a
sorry, I
new
thought
Netflix
your
movie
Hallmark thing.
where
I thought that's what you were gonna watch as well. That's so funny.
it's a new Netflix movie where a woman brings a hot buff snowman to life and then they fuck or something. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it.
That's about all I know.
Okay.
I've heard it's pretty decent. So
If I watch it and it like Shape of Waters me, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
I don't think it's quite Shape of Water, but I have heard it's shockingly
Jade walking around
good.
looking at snowmen like, well,
The Shape of Snow.
well.
I might watch it tonight. We'll see. But I watched
So
Wicked.
might I. Ooh.
Oh yeah, you watched Wicked. I'm gonna once the snow clears up.
Yeah, me and Piper went and saw Wicked on Tuesday, and I'm delighted to inform you that it was excellent. I
That's
gave
what
it
I've been hearing.
4.5 out of 5. Obviously, not all of us here like musicals, but I like
Oh no,
musicals.
who doesn't?
I like musicals, and I knew next to nothing about Wicked. I'd never seen it. I'd heard Popular and Defying Gravity from a friend of mine a number of years ago, but I didn't know anything about the plot except it was just kind of humanizing the Wicked Witch of the West. And I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed and loved the movie. I thought like the sets, the choreography, the acting, everything was top notch, and it was just a great time.
I'm really excited to see it. I watched the play in Seattle. I just kind of got tacked on to a group of middle schoolers that my sister was friends with.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I've heard this is a really popular one. So, and like, I feel like I'm gonna regret not taking this chance to go. And just like you're saying, I was shocked. Same thing that you said. I just knew it kind of humanized the Wicked Witch. I had no idea what the full plot was about.
Mhm.
Blown away. I can
Yeah.
totally see why it's so popular. So I'm really pumped to watch the movie.
Yeah, I really want to see it in like a theater with like actors and everybody at some point, but it'll be a while. Wicked, the one in movie theaters right now, is a part 1. So, and part 2 was filmed at the same time as part 1, so it'll probably come out next year. And I imagine I'll see part 2 in theaters before I see a stage production of Wicked. But
That makes sense.
it is something I want to see. I think both me and Piper are interested in seeing it now.
I will say the first act is better than the second act, in my opinion. I think it's just stronger overall, but
That makes sense. Well, then I watched Audition, which we will talk about.
yeah.
And after Audition last night, so my fellow co-hosts were like, hey, as a heads up, they said this like on Monday, we're recording on a Sunday. They're like, as a heads up, probably watch Audition a few days before we record, so you have time to really digest and think about it, because it's a bit of a weird one. And I was like, okay, that's probably smart. And so I watched it last night, the night before recording. And afterwards, I was like, I need to watch another movie.
It's like that. Yeah.
So I watched a rom-com that came out on HBO recently called Sweethearts.
Oh,
that
I
I've been
thought it was
hearing.
Hot Frosty.
No, I should have. I'm gonna watch it tonight just to make up for it. But I watched Sweethearts, and it's like a movie I've been seeing on TikTok a little bit. People have been saying it's pretty fun, and I agree it was pretty fun. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. If you know who Caleb Heron is, who is a TikTok comedian who's really fucking funny, he is in this movie and is like the star of the movie. Like, he's not the main characters, but like his plot is like what makes the movie. And he's incredible. And I love him. He is extremely funny. Jade, I'm going to send you so many clips of Caleb Heron because Jade does not know who he is, apparently.
I don't use TikTok, so.
Yeah, well, look forward to some funny clips coming your way.
Cool. Hell yeah.
And that's all I've watched.
Neat. So to get in before Noah here, of course, I watched the aforementioned Lady Hawk with Noah and Nina, and as I have already said, fun as hell, etc. So I got 3 other movies I watched.
Can I ask a question?
Hot
Oh, yeah,
frosty.
absolutely.
I have no idea what Lady Hawk is. Could somebody please explain what it
Oh,
is?
I'll say it.
Yeah.
It's a 1980s fantasy movie. I'm running a homebrew game right now, kind of based off 1980s fantasy because I watched a lot of it a few years ago. And I have some favorites from when I did that, and Lady Hawk is my favorite. It's set in like medieval France vaguely, and it's about a prisoner who escapes from a major prison and runs into a weird knight and his Lady Hawk, and the Lady Hawk and the knight are trying to break into the
I like how you
to the
keep
church.
using the term Lady Hawk as though
Lady
this is just
Hawk
a word
as in
people
like
are gonna be
a
familiar
female
with.
A
bird?
literal hawk.
It's a bird,
female
yes,
bird.
it's a
She's a bird.
Are you
Yeah.
fucking with me?
I am not fucking with you.
Okay.
She is amazing.
If
and
I
I love
Google
her.
this and it's not a literal female bird,
It is a literal
It's a
female
bird.
bird. I am not kidding.
It's a bird. It is. Lady Hawk is one word and it's spelled with an E at the end, despite this.
For
but
some reason.
It is a hawk. It's just.
Yeah,
a
I
bird.
don't really know why they spell it like that when she is just a Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
They
seeing
could've
pictures of birds,
instead
so I
called
believe
it
you.
Night Wolf, but with a K. And I think actually, I'm glad that they didn't,
That would've
because
worked
that
just
means
as well.
I get to make that movie. I'm gonna post a link to my GoFundMe, and it's gonna be like Wolf Cop but medieval.
I'm so here for that.
Wolf
Anyway,
Cop with an E at the end.
anyway, Emma, the reason
People
that
call it Wolf Cope, but it's not.
the reason that I really like this movie is because it has one of the most polycule coded like trio of main characters ever.
The man, the woman,
and
and the bird.
Yeah, we'll say that.
yeah,
It's not that.
But
wrong. Yeah.
yeah, you're not that far off.
Poor Matthew Broderick being the woman.
No. The 3 characters in the polycule are the priest, the Matthew Broderick guy, and the Alfred Molina guy. Obviously.
Obviously.
Okay.
Alfred Molina's in this one too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Can I ask unrelated? I'm so sorry, Jade, that I'm
No, go
taking so
for
much
it. Go
time out of
for
your
it. You're
goals.
fine.
I'm really interested in what these
Looking at
questions
these
are.
images, Michelle Pfeiffer looks a hell of a lot like Rebecca Ferguson. Are they related?
She does.
You know what?
Oh, I
That's
wonder. I don't think they are,
That's a
but
great point. I would not have seen it for that myself, but she kind of does, doesn't she?
she really does. I think the cover looks a lot like Rebecca Ferguson in Dune, so there is that.
Yeah.
Damn, how about that?
Okay, I'm done asking my questions about Lady Hawk. Thank you. You may continue, Jade.
All right. So I watched Noroi the Curse.
Yeah.
And I had joked, I know I posted this in the Discord. I had joked about using a CRT emulator to complete the experience. Literally, I started watching it and was like, damn, this sucks. And then I put on the CRT emulator and it like just completed the whole look of the thing. It just made it feel right. And I loved it. It is fun as hell. My usual issues with found footage are tempered rather significantly by the fact that like this one actually kind of made me believe it. It had such a perfect like VHS look and feel to it that of course gets capped off by the CRT thing, but like the whole feel of it just seemed like something you might have caught on TV one time and not really known what it was or something. I loved it. It's fantastic. And I highly, highly recommend using a CRT emulator for it, or just using an actual CRT TV, but like, you know, if you have
Who has one of
question
those
mark.
these days?
Yeah, if you are a competitive Super Smash Bros. Melee player, then you can watch Noroi the Curse on your regular TV. But for everyone else... so after that, I've been having a conversation with friend of the podcast, Jackson, for a little while about Darren Aronofsky because of
Oh
our
boy.
particular experiences with watching his stuff. And about a week prior to this, he had messaged me saying, I might be caring for Darren. I just watched The Whale and I kind of loved it. I cried multiple times and it's just really good. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I think I need to give Aronofsky a fair shake. So I'm going to go for one of the movies that is, widely known as one of his big, real good ones, right? So I sit down to watch Black Swan, and then I go, hey, wait a minute, this is a ballet movie. Ballet makes me angry. This is not the time for me to be doing this. I'm going to watch Requiem for a Dream instead, which is not emotionally easier.
But it is emotionally less specific.
That is a difficult movie to watch, tell you what. Oh, man.
That's what I always heard about it growing up.
That is what I also always heard about it. It lives up to the hype. It is an emotionally draining and difficult movie. Aronofsky is, I think, a really effective crafter of a bad time movie. Like he will make something that is just really, really good and leaves you feeling empty and dead inside afterward because you just have nothing left within you, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I want to watch more of it though. Real good. I almost forgot that Jared Leto was on screen the entire time. The movie was so good.
Damn.
You know?
Wow. The only Darren Aronofsky film I've seen,
Oh my god.
and this is real exciting,
Is it Noah?
is apparently Noah. Yeah.
Let's go.
Noah 2014.
Prior
Tubal
to this,
Cain.
my introduction to Darren Aronofsky was Mother! From 2017. It's the one with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh,
and
he did
Javier
Mother,
Bardem.
yeah.
Oh my god, that movie, that shit. When I watched it the first time, that shit was traumatic. That was like, it was at the time, and I think continues to be the most viscerally upsetting thing I have ever watched.
Yeah.
And I've been told by people who have more experience with Aronofsky that that particular movie is not the point to go jumping in. After seeing Requiem for a Dream, I'm kind of like, well, dude, it's a horse apiece. It's just a matter of how hard you want it to be punching you while this happens. Because, like, Requiem for a Dream, hugely emotionally impactful, does not punch the way that Mother did.
Yeah.
I don't know that certain aspects of it are going to stick with me the way that Mother did either, because Mother is largely about, like, religion and such, whereas Requiem for a Dream is, of course, about drug use, and I've got just less experience in that kind of an arena, so it doesn't, like, hit for me the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, oof, what a movie. I'm excited to watch more of his other shit because of it, honestly.
Yeah. I'm realizing I have seen another Darren Aronofsky film.
Is it Black Swan? I
It
feel like
is
that's
not
the one
Black
that
Swan,
most people have seen of
surprisingly.
his.
I have
Oh,
not seen Black Swan.
Neither have I.
It's very good.
I've heard it's very good, and I
People
want to
say
watch
this.
it. I just never have.
Yeah, we watched it the other day. Like we gabbed it, but it genuinely just because I was like, oh, that's streaming, and I've always heard it's good,
Mm-hmm.
and it was.
Yeah. I think when I was in high school, I watched The Fountain, like early high school,
Oh, okay.
and I
How'd
did
that
not
go?
get it at the time.
Gotcha. That's one that I don't know so much about.
Yeah. I don't remember much, but looking at some of these pictures, I was like, oh yeah, I did watch that.
All right. All right, so after that, okay, so my last one was a 2016 Hallmark movie called Christmas Cookies. Is anyone familiar with this?
Yes.
I think I've heard about it.
I posted
Didn't you
about this
talk
in
to
the
us
Discord
about
the
it?
other day.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. So Becca was in the mood to watch a Hallmark movie because every Christmas she gets the hankering to watch a shitty Hallmark movie, and she's under no illusions
Yeah.
that these are good or anything. It's specifically with the intent that they suck, and it's just that's part of the experience. So I was like,
yeah.
okay, I will watch this with you as long as you're okay with me roasting the shit out of it the entire time. And she's like, oh yeah, of course, that's part of the reason. And I'm like, cool, all right, I'm in. This movie, I fully thought that it was going to turn around and be like Hot Fuzz or The Wicker Man or something for the first 2/3 of it, because everyone in this movie is so goddamn weird. Oh my god, the whole town is fucking creepy. It's so weird. and the people in the movie talk in ways that nobody on Earth has ever talked. And the lead is it's that classic like Redditor ass criticism of rom-coms and such, right? Where they're always just like, oh yeah, the guy is just a creep, and because he's hot, we're expected to just think that it's cool or whatever. And lots of times you actually watch the movie and that's not really the case. You watch this one, that is 100% textually the case.
Ooh.
Oh my God. A woman goes to this town, right? Because she works for big national food corporation. They're literally just called like National Food. She
love
goes
that.
to this small town in upstate New York called Cookie Jar. The town is called Cookie Jar. The town
Oh my god.
is called Cookie Jar. If you read the Letterboxd reviews for this movie, because I was reading a ton of Letterboxd reviews for it just in the several minutes leading up to us sitting down to watch the movie, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my god, the town in this movie is called Cookie Jar, and everyone on Letterboxd is roasting the shit out of it, except the Spanish speakers. Every single review written in Spanish mentioned wanting to go to this town.
Oh my god.
Literally every single one of them. They're not even giving positive reviews. They're giving it like 1.5 and 2 stars, and they're saying, Te amo Cookie Jar, I want to live there, or whatever. Like, I have no idea what it is about this town that holds any appeal to Spanish speakers for some reason, but apparently this is a thing.
I'm gonna have to watch this movie. What,
Well,
like,
so the lady goes to the small town so that she can purchase small town cookie factory company. And while
Classic.
she's in the meeting with guy who owns small town cookie factory company, he basically says, well, all right, so I'm looking at your business proposal, but I'm a small town boy and I need to mull it over. And she's like mulling it over, and he's like, yeah, you don't take your time with decisions in the big city or fucking whatever. And he's like, a mulling period is typically about 72 hours. So you give me 3 days and I will have you an answer for this business proposal. And she's like, I have to have papers back on my boss's desk by Christmas, and that puts us into Christmas. You cannot do that. And he's like, too bad, got 'em all. And he makes her spend those 3 days doing Christmas shit with him and his family, which includes helping him watch his niece.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, he has her spend like at least a day and a half of this mulling period basically role-playing parenting with him. Really fucking weird, really creepy. And also, he's just very openly using the fact that she has to be there and spend time with him on business for purposes of like trying to get with her, which is super, super weird and creepy of him. And the entire town notices and enables this. It is such a weird fucking movie to watch. Oh my god. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
I wanna
there is
watch
a
that so
Letterboxd
bad.
review that says Yo quiero vivir en Cookie Jar.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the quality.
I think it
think it
does.
does.
Yo quiero vivir and Cookie Jar.
Tambien.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Noah, what kind of películas have you been watching this week?
Could
Oh,
you do
that-
your goals
oh.
all in Spanish, Noah?
Sorry, peliculi.
Kayela.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Soy Noah. El Letterboxd time.
Tiempo.
Yeah.
Actually,
time?
it's El Tiempo de Letterbox, but okay.
Yeah, correct.
¿Cómo se dice Pete's Dragon?
El Dragon de Pete.
Obviously.
See, I can't make that joke. I'll get canceled. But Nina, as our only
Who's
native
gonna cancel
Hispanic
me?
in the chat is allowed to say
My
these
dad?
things.
He would.
I'm saying
too.
you're allowed. Actually, he would. He'd come in and be like,
You fucking
"You're
gringo.
you're not Hispanic
It
enough to
always
make
goes
these
this.
jokes.
Yeah, it always goes.
You're too white."
You're a gringo, and I say, whose fault is that? And he goes, and then we move on.
Giggles.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna hit the Rex first. All right.
Okay, this
I
sounds
watched 5 of the movies I was supposed to watch.
Yeah.
Yay.
One of them was Pete's Dragon. We
Yeah.
all knew. One of
And
them
you
was
loved
Lady
it.
Hawk. We've talked about it enough.
Wait,
So,
but how did you feel about
How
these
did
movies?
you feel about these movies, Noah?
Pete's Dragon is one that I think could grow on me.
Yeah.
I would have to watch it again.
I know Linda said
You know?
she really loved it. Very Blackbeard's Ghost, she said.
Yes.
When we were
Very
watching
much so.
the opening credits, and there was all of these like 70s like big 70s actors coming up, she kept being like, oh my god, Red Buttons is in this. Oh my god,
There's a
Mickey
man named
Rooney's
Red
in this.
Buttons.
He's a
Yeah.
comedian.
He's a comedian.
He's the minion.
Yeah, he's Dr. Terminus's minion.
And comedians
I thought
back then
Red
just
Buttons-
had the first name Red all the fucking time. Red Fox,
Yeah.
Red Skeleton, Red fucking Buttons. God, that's come
Yeah.
on.
Red Grant.
Red October.
They
The
were
Hunt
hunting
for.
for that guy too.
Yeah. High demand.
But
They
yeah,
wanted him
Linda
so
really
bad.
liked it. The reason that I made them watch, Noah and Linda watch this, is because I mentioned this last time. It's because they had me watch The Music Man, and this was the closest thing I had to The Music Man in my childhood.
Oh, fair.
I can't believe Nina is once again invoking the Music Man on this
It's
podcast
relevant.
with a noted hate
It's
of
relevant.
the Music
I
Man.
promise. It's so relevant.
I
So
say promi. Ew.
I'm
This is
gonna.
like 4 episodes in a row.
Sorry, guys. This is the
Eventually,
last
we're
time.
gonna
I
just have
promise.
to cover the music.
But I think it's an apt comparison. So
But I also watched I Saw the Devil, which is
I've heard
Let's
good
go.
things.
so good.
That was one of my movies, chat.
I just have to say, and this is nothing against anyone who has picked movies.
That's about
Let me pull this list up to make sure that I'm not lying.
Oh no, it's about Sean.
No, it's not. It's about everybody is the problem. Emma picked all bangers, and I don't know what's
True.
I don't know how to explain it. Emma picked exclusively bangers for this.
Nice.
I loved Memories of Murder. I loved I Saw the Devil. I Saw the Devil rocking in with Choi Min Sik, the guy from Exuma and Old Boy.
He's incredible.
He's an amazing actor.
he is.
He's a truly amazing actor. And there's so many movies that he's in that I don't know what they are. And I need to see more of them. But it's just going to take a while.
Yeah.
But I loved I Saw the Devil. Then I watched Perfect Blue.
Let's
And-
go.
This is when
I've heard some
I
great
realized there
things.
was potentially an unintended theme to a lot of Emma's picks.
No, I messaged Noah about this after I sent him all the movies, and I was rewatching all of them. I was like, a lot of these have like essay subplots as a warning.
And you know what's funny? By the time I got into it, 6 months after that message, totally forgot. So I, all by myself, was like, Nina, a lot of these are dealing with like heavy assault.
Yes.
Really, really good though. Perfect Blue is really, really good. I can't say anything about it other than it deals in stan culture, and it's really good because anything else might spoil, and I don't want to do that.
That's pretty much all that I've ever heard said about it. So
So I Saw the Devil, Perfect Blue. This one goes out to Sean. Sean, I know I hated Clerks, but I loved Kubo and the Two Strings.
he liked it more
Oh,
than I
that's a
do.
good
which
one.
is
Yeah,
crazy.
I liked it way more than Nina does, apparently. I thought it was a blast.
I
don't
love
know, it's just good,
the creepy
you know?
last mask ladies in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
They're my
should
favorite
watch
part.
Wendell and Wild if you liked Kubo, because I
Okay.
think Wendell and Wild is even better.
Happy to do it. Next year, when I get through all these other movies.
Yeah.
But I know what we're all here for. Someone, I'm sure, saw that I watched the 2015 Martyrs remake and wondered why. And you know what? I watched the 2015 Martyrs remake and I don't know why. It's truly awful. It is an obnoxiously bad movie.
Yikes.
It misses the entire point of what I felt made the original like hauntingly beautiful in a way. It's just like the gut punch of the original has been removed and tossed to the side. Like there is a very important scene at the end of the movie that is given in the remake to a nobody. It still happens, but there's no gravitas to it at all. It is the most egregious case of learn to put up with 1 inch of text on the bottom of the screen and your whole world will open up. It's just not good. Let's see.
After Inside, I think that pretty well solidified that I never want to watch a remake of a foreign film ever again.
They can't all be
especially
the ring.
like
You know what?
yeah, like especially for
only
like a
good
new
one, I
French
think.
Extremity film.
God,
And
yeah.
that's truly Martyr's greatest fault, is that it, just like the 2016 Inside remake, neuters what makes New French Extremity work, because you can't have you can't take all the violence and blood from the thing without the balance of the other stuff it has going on, without the other pushing it's doing. So like it just isn't
French art
it's no longer
doesn't,
compelling.
like,
It doesn't, yeah, French art doesn't translate
just
well.
in general, it doesn't move over to American culture very well. You've got to
I
just
think
learn
that-
to take it for where it is.
I
Mhm.
think that it's really frustrating to watch how American remakes misinterpret the cultures that
Yeah.
they because it's different for every culture. When you look at how America retells like a Japanese story to a like Swedish or Finnish story to a French story, it's they reconstruct different things every time, and it's like the reason that you watch foreign films is to see how other cultures tell stories, which we'll
Yeah.
get into with Audition. So it's really it sickens me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Once
Martyrs
again, the
misses
ring
that
did
mark.
really good with it, but
Yeah, from what it's the only thing I ever have heard is that the Ring remake is the only good remake.
I actually had heard that it wasn't that great, but maybe that's just because that was the horror circles that I ran in before I got into horror myself, the same places that said that Saw was just torture porn.
Oh,
So I'm
sure.
open to being proven wrong.
I give it a shot. You want to watch it, and also Ring, the one that's often referred
I'll
to
watch
as
the
Ringu.
original one with you again, because
Yeah, you want to watch
I
both. I think they're
there's
on par
some-
with each other. Personally, they're just
I
a
can't
little
stress
different.
enough that the original Ring, the Japanese Ring,
Mm.
it has some of my favorite images of
yeah.
a horror movie.
Oh yeah, it's got
There's just
shots.
scenes that are dripping in personality, and that's another thing. That's another thing with remakes, all right?
personality.
You
of
need
the
to.
movie. Yeah.
Yes. So if you give the remake of Martyrs to this fucking clown, Michael Goetz and Kevin Goetz,
I
Gets
recognize
The
that
goats,
name.
of
I don't know.
course.
Gertz.
The
Usually
goats.
who have made
More like Michael Goatsy, am I right? But
they had made one film at that time. It is called Scenic Route. I don't know anything about it, and I don't care to. They have made one film since then.
oh,
That is the only shit that they have directed.
yikes!
And they hand Martyrs to them, which was an incredibly successful, if niche, film. The big issue with shit like this is it's a full crew swap. So, like, you can make a beat-for-beat remake, which they did not. They altered this. But you can make a beat-for-beat remake, as is the case with the 90s Psycho remake, which is a shot-for-shot remake that just everyone agrees is just bad. Because you don't have the same crew working, you don't have the same cinematographer, you don't have the same editors, you don't have the same people
The same
with the
intent
vision.
going in, right? Like,
It's the Star Wars prequels versus the Star Wars sequels problem, where in the Star Wars prequels, it's still old George at the helm, and his inspiration is a slew of silent film, a slew of foreign film, a slew of classic American film, and Star Wars, because he's still working within his Star Wars world, right? And then you get the Star Wars sequels, and the inspiration is Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's really depressing to see something eat itself like that. And that's the same thing that happens with a lot of these foreign remakes, is you end up totally neutering, because instead of being a film that is drawing on inspiration from, like, can you imagine if Frontiers got remade, for example?
okay, see, this is the whole time that we're having this conversation. Every time this kind of thing pops up, there's a couple of titles that always pop up in my mind as ones that, like, theoretically, I could actually see an Americanized adaptation working really, really well. Frontiers is curiously one of them. I do not ever want to see it attempted because it will never be done correctly. Same
No,
thing
I
with
think
Parasite,
it'll end up-
actually. I will never sign off on anybody attempting to do it, but that's a story that could work here, you know?
But simultaneously,
shouldn't.
I don't
It
think
should
that it
not,
could,
ever.
because we don't have the same hierarchical structure of
Also-
society.
Also very much.
So that's like a different problem.
I think that this is the same frustration that I have with pretty much any remake of anything, which is the original still exists. Why are we doing
It's
this?
like Dario said.
If
you're
the
gonna change it,
barrier
make a
is
different
so-
movie.
If the barrier is so low to being able to access the original, then why are we remaking it? I felt this way about animated movie remakes for a long time. That
Just
one, the
why?
barrier is non-existent. There is nothing a live action could possibly ever do
Nothing.
better than animation.
Never.
And so many things it can do worse.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about a lot of foreign movie remakes, where it's like, if the barrier is reading subtitles, and I understand that is a legitimate barrier for some people, there is a difference, 100%. But I don't think that justifies remaking it
God, no.
and losing the cultural context.
Also, if I could say, a dub in these situations is not nearly as bad as a remake. I know that there's always going to be dub versus sub argument about the minutia going on.
Sure.
But for this, a dub is always going to be preferable to a remake. You know?
It's the less
Because
readable,
at least it's
certainly.
you at least keep the soul of the movie intact, even if some of the expression of the movie gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, I did not like the Martyrs remake, and I'm working on an article for why I love Martyrs so much right now for the website.
Oh, neat.
Nice.
That'll be my first good movie. I know a lot of people are saying, Noah, you can't write a good movie review. You only talk about bad movies.
People saying that?
I mean,
yeah.
you've only
Jade.
we've only done 2 articles so far that have been published for the website, right? You've done 3 that have been published? Okay.
Yep, and one of them was VHS, which I liked.
Yeah.
One of them was Hellraiser, which Revelations, which I hated.
Yeah.
And one of them was not a review, but the article of all 3 Human Centipede movies, which I hated. So,
Yeah.
Real.
we're coming to things I like.
Noah is carrying the website so far.
I'm working on it. I just have to
Yeah.
revise my article one more time, and then it's ready to go.
I watched a few other movies, though. I watched 18 things in between this. I'm not going to talk about the Saw movies outside of I love Saw 6. It is truly, and I hate to say it because it's not as good if you don't watch, you have to watch 3, 4, 5, and 6 for 6 to be as good as it can be.
I think you have to watch all of them.
I
to
think
that
you
point.
do have to watch, there's no reason not to watch 1 and 2 at that point. But
So-
Saw 6 is dialed in on the A and B plot are so perfectly in step with each other. They really work. The trap plot is actually really dialed into the actual themes of the movies and what John would be up to. And then the main plot with Hoffman is just an amazingly good time to watch.
Yeah. It's the thesis statement of the Saw films.
Yeah.
Everything else kind of leads up to it and also is built off of it. It feels like they finally figured out what Saw was. And then, unfortunately, they had to wrap that storyline right afterward, and everything has fallen apart ever since. But 10 comes back to it in a really big way.
Cool. Would you consider it to be almost watchable in the same format as a Mike Flanagan show or something, but just a little bit expanded because it's full-length movies rather than hour-long episodes, but you end up with a rather similar total runtime from 6 Saw movies versus the Mike Flanagan 10 episode thing?
Listen, with the
This is
biggest
a joke
grain
of a
of salt,
question, just
God's
to be clear.
biggest grain of salt,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
100% agree. Yes.
You know those big salt lamps that you see in
We're talking
white people's
coarse grain
houses?
kosher salt here, right?
No, we're talking salt.
We're talking a
Himalayan
rock.
salt lamp.
we're talking a salt.
Talking
like
about
you put
that
out
lamp
for the
that my
deer.
roommate used to have that he left when he moved.
He didn't lick it first, did he?
I bet he did.
I
That's
did, and it didn't taste like anything.
Why did you anyway?
It's a salt lamp. Anyway,
What else did you watch, Noah?
I watched Den of Thieves, just touching on it. Really fun.
Oh, yeah?
Heavily recommend.
Huh.
Very much recommend. I'm excited for the second one coming out. I watched Furiosa again.
I
That's
also
4
watched
times this year.
Furiosa again.
I love Furiosa.
I love Furiosa.
Also, great news for Noah. I think the Steam sale ends tonight or tomorrow, so too late. But the Mad Max video game was on sale for $1.
Oh, is it
so
good?
I picked it up.
Nice.
I'm enjoying it. So for $1, let's be real here. It's great.
Nice.
But who remembers the 2005 uber mega cinematic hit that blew everyone's minds, Stealth.
I do recall this.
I don't.
Oh, Emma, I see you're shaking your head. You don't remember Stealth? The movie starring Josh Lucas, Jessica Biel, and Jamie Foxx?
I was about to say
Nope.
Jessica Biel's in that, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember. I do not
No,
recall.
that's crazy. No, you have to know. It's deeply ensconced in a top secret military program. 3 pilots struggle to bring an artificial intelligence program under control. There's an AI stealth bomber.
I don't know that they were ensconced.
Well, that's what this says. They were deeply
I
ensconced.
feel like they were entangled. If
Oh my
anything.
god, he did Dragonheart. Rob Cohen, the guy who directed this, also did the first Fast and Furious movie.
Oh.
Mhm.
Or maybe he did. Yeah, he did that. He
Yep.
did the Hurricane Heist. He
Oh,
did
That's not. It's not good.
The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon
Oh
Emperor.
no.
I think the Triple X movies, like a couple of them, the first two
Did the first
The first
potentially.
one is legitimately a fun
And
enough
1996
off-brand
is
Fast and Furious
Dragonheart.
that just actually has Vin Diesel for no reason.
1996 is Dragonheart, which I believe my friend Baz has watched and said was really, really bad, to the point where he refused to watch it with me again when we were doing our shitty medieval marathon that we did.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because he's too obsessed with dragons. But that is funny.
Look at that CGI dragon,
it's
Noah.
ugly, yes. But Stealth is bad.
Stealth is really bad.
Stealth has this really funny thing going on where the morality of the clandestine strikes on foreign nations are good or bad, depending
Depending on
depending
whether
on
or
the
not the
whim.
AI does it.
well, no, because sometimes the AI is doing the right thing. Like when they do a clandestine strike on North Korea, that's cool when the AI did it then.
Oh right, of course.
But when they did it in Russia, that was bad. But when the people did it in like Kuwait or whatever, that was good. So
Right, sure.
A lot of the reviews nail it by saying like they don't know what the morality of their movie is supposed to be. They do not have a message.
No.
AI good, AI bad.
AI is bad when it's taking your job, but good when it becomes a bro and listens to Incubus.
Killing
so
civilians
true,
good,
so
killing
true.
civilians bad. There's a lot more. There's like 3 or 4 Incubus needle drops.
3 of them are the same song.
This is why I said I wouldn't talk about this movie. I
So-
truly have nothing good
Would
to
you
say about it.
Would you say that the politics of this movie are as confused as the politics of the movie Air Force One with Harrison Ford?
No.
No.
No, because the politics of Air Force One are clandestine operations are good and we should do more of them more often.
Right.
I love America, signed Harrison Ford. The politics of this are, oh man, our super cool pilots are great when they're people, but the AI, I don't know about that. Ooh, it is pretty cool. Oh, I don't know about that. At the end of the day, you know what the real problem is? Senators.
So true.
There's a line at the end where the captain in charge of this program has been caught, and he calls the senator who's been giving him orders while he prepares to like off himself on the call, and he's like, I just need you to know that in this world there's warriors and there's men, and I want you to remember what a warrior sounds like when you listen to this voicemail. And the gunshot is a transition to the stealth bomber shooting people.
So here's my thought.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Why did they make this movie?
Hmm.
Also,
It was
Money.
2005. It's actually, the movie specifically has a title crawl about how world terrorism has gone up so crazy and it's not even funny.
This
It's-
was
it's
constantly
such an
happening in the 2000s.
Insanely of the era movie.
Yeah.
Of movie,
I
yeah.
think I have 2 more things to say about Stealth, and then I'd really like to talk about Audition.
Yes.
One, Eddie, the AI airplane, looks like a horseshoe crab.
Yes.
I could not get over the fact
He
that he looked like a
does.
horseshoe crab. Secondarily, at the end of the day, just watch Iron Giant. It's better in every way.
And Iron Giant will make you cry, and Stealth will make you cry because you're so annoyed at how it doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, well, there you go. I also read on your review of Stealth, because I read your Letterboxd review, that
thank
you've
you.
never seen Top Gun.
JB, cut the cameras. We're ready to
Let's rock and or roll.
Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about Hot Frosty. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hot Frosty
Damn it.
podcast. We're here today to talk about, if you can believe it, not Hot Frosty.
Bummer.
I'm very sorry. Once again, we're going to have to put that one off. I apologize. Instead, we're watching 1999 Takashi Miike Audition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
this is one of those ones where many people talk about how crazy it is, how fucked up it is. Now,
Or just how incredibly good it
knows?
is.
who knows?
Yeah,
Who
that too.
knows? We'll talk about that later, won't we? The movie basically the
Wait,
quick,
hold on a second. Who are you?
I was on such a good roll, and then
I'm
I
so
forgot the
sorry.
introduction.
Is it a good role if
Damn.
you're not doing everything? I mean, really.
Some might say that I, Noah, he, they, host of the podcast, could never make a mistake.
Some would
However, someone
say this. Me,
like,
Nina, they, them.
would say I do make mistakes. However, others like
Like Jade, they, she would definitely say that you make mistakes.
however, when we're really getting down to it, others of us, such as
Emma, they, them would say, I wasn't listening to this bit.
let's go! That means I don't always make mistakes. Thank you very much. The podcast is split 50-50 on this one. I don't know what to tell you. It's a coin flip, isn't it, folks? It's a coin flip. It's a coin
Oh
It's
my
flip.
truly
God.
a coin
It's a
flip.
coin flip for sure.
Any-
That's a thing people
And since
say.
I can hear Emma souring on their opinion on me as I keep talking, I am going to intro the movie before I lose my only ally.
Hashtag ally.
Allah.
Ally. So, fuck. I had such a roll going.
Sorry, take a
I
deep
was
breath.
ready, and then I totally sidestepped. The quick run of this one is, a guy loses his wife, and as the years go by, his kid's like, maybe you should marry again, Dad. You kind of feel you're looking old. You should probably marry someone so you get a little less old.
That is basically what he
And-
says, yeah.
And our fella truly feels that that's a good idea. He pitches it to his friend who does TV shows and movies. And his friend's like, do you remember that script you pitched us, or that we pitched together to Germany a few years ago? And he's like, yeah, they never used it. And he's like, I've reworked it a little. We're going to hold an audition for your new wife, is basically what we end up doing, right? And then they do.
Yep.
But before we get into any more of this movie, Noah, do you have any notes on the critical reception? Well, thanks for asking. I do, in fact, I do.
Oh my God.
IMDb with a 7.1 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes with an 83%, Metacritic with a 70%, Letterboxd 3.8 out of 5. That's pretty cool, many might say. Many might also say, Noah, what about the Ebert review? Surely Roger Ebert himself talked about it. Well, hey, if he did, I didn't find it. I looked for 3 seconds and it wasn't there.
Damn.
However, Chuck Bowen for Slant in 2019, he wrote a very good article, which I will read the first paragraph from and encourage everyone to look it up. Takashi Miike's Audition still feels like the most visceral and evocative horror film since Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are commonalities between the movies as well, as both are still discussed with a degree of skittish awe, almost as if they're radioactive, and both bend narrative expectations to reveal social fault lines. Yet to review Audition only as a horror film, to continually emphasize the graphic power of its final act at the expense of what precedes it, is to ignore the film's robust vision. Audition is a psychological drama, a detonation of romantic comedy cliches, as well as a brutal examination of social isolation and malaise, and the gulf that often exists between men and women. Miike's greatest film to date isn't a gonzo shock artifact, but a furious and mysterious howl of despair.
Hot damn.
The rest of
There's-
the
those are
article
some
is
words.
really good.
It's a very good rest of the article. I very much recommend checking it out. It will be linked in the description below. And unfortunately, I got nothing from Brandon today.
We do have a little bit from Quentin Tarantino?
Hello?
Oh, our good buddy, Twitter Quentin.
Quentin Tarantino places the movie Audition in his top 20 movies released since he started directing movies.
You know, this is another element of Quentin's little shithead attitude that
Right.
I really truly love, where he's like, of all the films that have been released since I started making movies, this is
It's actually a really
one of them.
good impression of his voice.
That was actually really. I
was
did not
really
expect
good.
you to launch into that.
Thank you. In another life, I'm like, I was born in the 70s and I'm a huge impression comedy guy in the 80s. Too late now.
That's really specific, but I believe it.
Yeah, I see that. Time was you could make a
what
career out of that shit.
Did he say anything specific or just put it in his...
I don't have access to anything more specific than that. It's just kind of tagging onto a lot of people speak really highly of this movie kind of thread here.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
It's funny, Nina and I have been listening to the Hateful Eight soundtrack because we are currently buried in snow.
Yeah.
And it just seems appropriate.
That's fitting, yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm. I also have been listening to the Shining theme for no reason at all.
I'm sure there's nothing going on.
I am safe.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
Noah, is that a typewriter in the background of your office there?
No!
Okay.
No, that's just my computer because really Noah's the one who's in danger.
Boom, boom, boom.
Find out who gets murdered
boom.
next time.
But with that being said, critics love this movie. It's a very well acclaimed film, blah, blah, blah. But I want to know, what do we think of this movie? Emma, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready right now, I suppose.
Okay.
So we know I don't like older movies, which this
We
was
know.
99.
99.
I think my brain like defines older movies as like early 80s and like before. But still older movie, weird.
It is weird.
Some could say.
It is that. And it's shot in some
Some would
funny
say
ways
that.
also that are not necessarily fully
Shot in
of the
some
time because of it being Japanese
True.
and all and Nikkei and
Yeah.
Mhm.
Shot in some funny ways. And also, I didn't listen to you all, and I only watched it last night
Also
rather
true.
than multiple days in advance so that it would have time to sink in. So we're coming in with some points against it,
sure.
as I've highlighted. However, I don't know. As I was starting to watch it, I think I posted in our Discord and made the joke that I was just now starting to watch it, and Jade said something about Quentin Tarantino liking it for some reason.
yeah.
I don't remember why.
Because you said something.
But-
I think
about
it
him,
was
I think.
apropos of nothing.
Oh,
I think
it's
you
because
referenced his existence or something like this.
so it was because we were talking about Miike's filmography of like, oh, he did this and he did like a Phoenix Wright movie and like these other like wacky movies.
The 2017 JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think we were like, American filmmakers could never. And I was like, yeah, Quentin Tarantino's too much of a coward to direct the like Ben 10 movie or something.
The Danny Phantom
That
movie
was
is what you said.
Danny Phantom. Yeah.
Danny Phantom comes in, drops the N-word, kills a guy.
Yeah, that sounds right.
To which Jade said, like, oh, did Quentin Tarantino actually really likes Audition? And that set me up for success, I think,
Oh.
of me being like, okay, I'm going to think about this in context of a Quentin Tarantino film, which is normally like very slow, like dialogue heavy, and then like a big payoff at the end, which is kind of like exactly what happened.
Yeah?
And so with that proper like setting the tone that you did, Jade, I actually really liked this movie.
That was completely
Let's go.
by accident.
Yeah. So I think I rate it like a 8.5 or a 9. I'm not sure
Yo, hell yeah.
exactly which number
Let's
I want to
go.
go with,
All right.
but I very much enjoyed the movie. It reminded me a lot of Fresh, which another
there's a bit of
movie
that
I
in there,
absolutely
yeah.
love.
I could see that.
There's a lot of kind of like comparisons you can do between the two movies, but I thought it was excellent. And I'm excited to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
I miss Fresh.
Fresh was great.
It's been a minute. I should probably rewatch Fresh.
I have not wanted to rewatch it, but it is real good.
Nina, what did you think of the movie?
Oh, it's me, Nina.
Whenever you're ready, Nina.
Whenever you're ready.
Fuck up. I liked it. This is my second time watching it. I think we said last time Noah and I watched this early pandemic.
And you did not like it at the time, if I recall.
I did not care for it because I was told this would be the weirdest, most fuck it up movie ever. And there were a lot of weird, fucked up movies I had not seen at that point. And now having seen what a lot of other people consider to be weird and fucked up movies, Black Swan is one of these. I'm realizing that my definition of weird and fucked up is potentially a little stronger than some other people's. Because the substance did get me at points. I never looked away. I never was so uncomfortable that I like could not watch. But I definitely was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely one that I would have trouble recommending to other people. I think part of the reason I tell other people to like think on Audition or give themselves space for Audition, hold space for Defying Gravity, if you will, is that it is so, it's got such like a huge tonal shift within that like when I'm warning people to not make the same mistake I did. I'm not warning them that it's the weirdest, most fucked up shit on planet Earth. I'm like, I want you to like this more than I did the first time I watched it because I know I was set up for failure. So that all being said, watching it knowing what was coming, I definitely liked it more than I did the first time. I think that this is just a miss for me. I genuinely think something in me is just not connecting with this on the scale that it connects with other people. That being said, I still think it's really good. This might be my TikTok has ruined my attention span type of movie, which is insane because I love really slow ass spaghetti westerns.
This one's doing it different, though. It's doing a very particular kind of whatever it is that it is.
Yeah. So this is still like a 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10 for me. Okay. Yeah, it's just not like my favorite movie ever.
It's valid.
Yeah, fair and understandable.
And Jade, whenever you're ready.
I was planning on hitting the same like 8.5, 9 area as Emma. Actually, I really like this one, and I'm terrified that I'm not going to be able to properly articulate why. It's the stuff that it's doing is really, really good to me. And it's not like a want to watch it frequently kind of movie or anything. I've watched it twice this week and I'm ready to put it back down for a little while. You know what I mean? But like I feel that the thing that it's doing really good. I love how jarring some of the tonal shifts are. I love how confusing the editing is at certain moments. I feel like it's doing all of it just in a really pointed and really effective kind of way. I don't know a better point in the show to insert this moment, actually, but I'm just going to hit you with a handful of directors that Mike has specifically cited as being like big influences on him, people he admires a lot. Akira Kurosawa, of course. I mean, that's not really surprising.
Yeah.
Hideo Gosha, who I'm not familiar with. But then these next 3 names, 2 of them are not going to be surprising. David Lynch, David Cronenberg, no surprises there, right? Paul Verhoeven. He says Starship Troopers is actually his favorite movie ever.
He's so real for that, and I'm completely unsurprised.
Right?
Like, the humor in this and the tonal disconnect, I totally see that.
Yeah, there's moments that feel very Starship Troopers at times. There's moments that feel almost a little bit Showgirls at moments, actually. But, like...
That is really interesting.
Yeah, right?
I can really appreciate that.
And I feel like knowing that going into my most recent watch of it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, there's a lot of curious little weirdnesses that I might be very willing to overlook as like cultural differences or something if I hadn't seen other Japanese movies that like I think are actually kind of just like a little bit of that like Lynchy Cronenbergy kind of thing. I love the movie kind of like just skirts art housiness in a really interesting way to me is the big thing.
There is something about it, yeah, that like defeats art housiness by just this movie does not feel pretentious. I don't even know how to describe it.
It does it in the like just kind of accidentally dreamlike giallo feel that like Dario Argento lands on sometimes.
there's something camp about it. Maybe it's
Yeah.
I think it's like the set and the character design. It doesn't feel like full of itself. Like we'll get to it, but specifically the character design at the end, the outfit design.
Oh, very much.
It's just
very
so
much.
giallo and very strong.
It's
so
the design choice is just so strong and pointed of it, right? Like
it's iconic,
Yeah.
like very much.
and without ever having to
instantly
have
identifiable.
like winking at the camera about it kind of moment, I at least very clearly got the impression that like what we see in the movie is not necessarily meant to be literal storytelling. There is a certain amount of like art housey interpretation that is expected here. But also, you can kind of just let the movie roll over you and be the way that it is, and it works. It hits.
Yeah. I think watching it back to back with Furiosa, like in a weird way, helped with that, because I feel the same way about Furiosa, where it's like, I don't think we're supposed to take a lot of the storytelling completely literally.
Oh yeah, I take
and
the whole Mad Max universe as being a little mythologized, right?
Exactly. And I feel like with Audition, it weirdly, by being more mythologized in the way that it does it stylistically, makes it feel more found down to earth.
Yeah, it just lands. It's good. Anyways, let's actually get into this shit. Now,
Yeah. So, I feel like this is a common thing for Mike for me, is I feel that his movies somewhere in the middle could lose about 20 minutes. I've seen Audition, I've seen Itchy the
for
Killer,
great things.
I've seen the Ace Attorney movie, and I've seen Lumberjack the Monster. Not a great selection of this man's insanely large filmography.
And varied.
but-
Oh my god.
Very varied. He does. He's actually, I'm not gonna lie, his adaptation of a video game for the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney movie is very good.
He did
I
the
watched
Like
it
a
with.
Dragon movie as well, didn't he?
He did.
like,
He did like
2006.
3 Yakuza movies.
Jesus.
So he's good at the adaptations. But my feeling for most of the things that I've seen so far is that they run a little longer than I'd like. But on a rewatch, I liked Audition a lot more. I think initially I gave it like a 4 out of 10. I didn't know what to
Wow.
expect from it. This time I give it a really strong 8, verging on a 9.
Oh yeah.
I think it worked for me much more this time, and I had a blast.
I have heard it said that like Audition and Ichi the Killer are like the 2 Takashi Miike movies to watch if you're only going to watch 2 of his movies. By horror fans.
Here's the
is who've
thing
said
about
this.
well, here's the thing about Ichi the Killer. It's a manga adaptation,
Ooh.
and you need to know that going into it
I feel
because
like that'd be
everything makes more
important.
sense
Yeah.
then. Yes. But yeah, let's get into the plot summary.
Content warning.
That's not what
You're
part we're
skipping
at.
right
What the
over
fuck are
all
you
kinds
on?
of stuff here. Man.
Whatever. I'm still walking away right now.
Oh my god, I will take over hosting for just a second.
Or we can just
Oh my
wait for him
God.
to come back. But
We could just wait for
No,
him to come back.
Nina
Do we
is
wanna-
now in the host chair.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Nina's
moved
in
over.
Noah's chair. That means that we got to keep rolling.
Yeah.
So content warnings.
Content warnings.
We got some.
Noah does not have
Pedophilia.
any written down. Oh yeah, no, he does.
yeah, we
Dead
got-
dog.
We,
Big one.
We most definitely got a dead dog. We got some on-screen child abuse, as in like violence
Child
being
abuse.
enacted against the child.
Pedophilia.
Sure.
Needles.
Needles. There's a good bit of needles and such.
Yeah, be very aware of the needles.
We got some vomiting and other vomit-related things.
Yes.
Eye
Um,
stuff, kind of.
Eye stuff for sure.
it's
that's a
parallel
yeah.
to eye stuff. Yeah, it's the threat of eye stuff.
Close enough to
Yeah.
eyes that I was tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, eye stuff
so.
adjacent, certainly.
Yeah.
Noah has suicidal ideation, like conversation stuff tagged here, which I will admit I don't remember, but that stuff does kind of bounce out
Yeah.
It's
at
in
this
there,
point.
I suppose.
In the interview process, there was a girl that
Yeah.
talked
Right.
about that.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
Yeah, and also
like in the sequence where he's like kind of passing out and is connecting dots and things.
Yeah.
There's some conversations.
Yeah.
So
And speaking of the audition process, massive misogyny by the main characters that goes more or less unchecked for most of the runtime. That's the point of the movie, but it's there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think that that's pretty much that.
Yeah, that's that. Well, but I mean, like, all those things are like having all that stuff in a movie sounds kind of scary to me, but
It
like
does.
I'm
Well,
not.
who knows?
I'm not some kind of
Maybe we need
scare
an expert.
quantifier. I think we gotta
Yeah.
call in some help here. Unless we have somebody in house who can handle something like that. Do you think we do?
Let's call in an expert.
Okay, who are we calling in?
I don't know, Jade. Who should we call in as our
I'm
expert?
not really sure. Nina, who do you
Oh my
think we should be
God.
calling in as our expert?
Well, I know this one person.
Do we have
Twitter Brandon, of course.
Do we have to wait for Noah
Twitter
to come
Brandon.
back?
We
have his number.
Is that what's going on?
But Twitter Brandon's unavailable, so I guess
Damn.
we'll have to go with
We'll
Emma.
have to call Quentin Tarantino instead.
Okay.
Mr. Tarantino, are you scared of anything? Because I'm really not sure.
We need to get a voice
He
clip
was-
of Noah doing his Tarantino
He was
impression, saying
terrified
that
of
he's
the
scared
foot stuff in
um,
this movie.
You know what?
Oh,
He would
true.
be, wouldn't he? He would
His
be.
worst fear ever.
Oh,
No
dismemberment.
feet.
That's a content that we should warn.
Oh yeah,
There is some
dismemberment.
dismemberment and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Okay,
Um,
Emma though, scary. How is it?
Here's the thing. I didn't think the movie was that scary. I think if you have an active imagination, it's gonna be a lot scarier. Like if you're the kind of person that like tenses and like doesn't fully like look at a movie as like uncomfortable stuff is happening, your mind is gonna connect the dots between things happening and it's gonna be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, once things started happening in this movie, I was like, all of this, like, I just need to tell my brain all of this is fake. And then
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, this is fine.
There is one moment that I need to look away every time I watch it, but it's not because of it being scary. It's the vomit scene, and I have to not watch or else I gag.
Yeah. I would still give it like a 4 on a scary rating.
For sure, discomfort at times, if nothing else, right?
Discomfort at times, yeah. But yeah, I think, no, I'm not going to say that.
No?
Yeah, just like most of the movie isn't very scary, and then like the last bit where like the stuff is like really happening is where like all of kind of like the conversations about Audition being like really fucked up and crazy is like where the stuff happens, but it's not like that bad.
Nah.
No. That is functionally the thing.
Yeah. But if you have an active imagination, then it's probably going to be worse for you. Maybe like a 7. Maybe
It's kind of
even
like Texas
higher.
Chainsaw, like that one reviewer said, where it's like you gotta fill in the gaps yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does a lot of the sensory overwhelming stuff near the end as well.
Yeah.
Does a bit of that.
Ugh. Okay. Plot time.
Plot
We're gonna talk about the plot.
Time.
We're reading the Wikipedia article again. I read it a little earlier just to kind of make sure it was okay. It does skip over some stuff, but not as drastically as some other movies, so I think it should be fine. Okay. Shigeharu Aoyama visits his wife Ryoko in the hospital where she dies from an undisclosed illness. 7 years later, Shigeharu's teenage son, Shigehiko, encourages him to find a new wife. Shigeharu's friend, film producer Yasuhisa Yoshikawa, devises a fake casting audition at which young women audition for the starring role in a new television series, though they are actually auditioning for the part of Shigeharu's new wife. Posing as a casting director, Shigeharu is immediately enchanted by an applicant named Asami Yamazaki. It's something that they're already skipping over here is that he found her application to audition and he looked over it and read it and got immediately obsessed with her and seemed completely uninterested until he noticed her name on the list, and then when she showed up, asked her a question that was in reference to her resume.
Yeah, she had like an
where
essay
she said
written about. Sorry.
no, yeah, I was about to do that. Yeah, it said in her application, she said she had been pursuing a career as a ballet dancer until injuries ended her aspirations. Yasuhisa is suspicious when he cannot reach any of the references in Asami's resume, such as a music producer she said she worked for, who turns out to have gone missing 18 months earlier. Shigeharu is so enthralled that he pursues her anyway. She lives in a tiny apartment containing little more than a large sack and a telephone. She sits perfectly still next to the phone for 4 days after the audition, waiting for it to ring. When it finally does, she answers and pretends that she never expected Shigeharu to call, which is also not true. When he first calls after the audition, she said she was hoping he would call. After several dates, she accompanies him to a hotel where Shigeharu intends to propose marriage. She reveals burn scars on her body and, before having sex, demands that Shigeharu pledge his love to her. Okay, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
This is after several dates, means after several scenes of them having dates where they discuss her family, her childhood, her living alone, the fact that she works at a bar. It's a lot of him asking questions about her, and there's some really interesting jump cuts in those conversations that become important later.
Yeah, lots of times she'll
but
be
then-
like doing a short monologue, and while she's like mid-sentence, suddenly the scene changes and she's still talking continuously, but they're on a different date now. I love it. It's so cool.
It's so good. And also during this time, Shigeharu talks to his son and tells her that he's planning on proposing, and it's revealed that I don't think that Shigehiko has met Asami at that point. So they're going on a vacation and he's going to ask her then, and that's when they have sex, and Asami demands that Shigeharu pledge his love to her, and he does so in the heat of the moment. She says, "Love nobody else but me," and he says, "You got it." In the morning, Shigeharu receives a call from the front desk to inform him that Asami has left. Shigeharu tries to track Asami down, but all of the contacts on her resume are dead ends, as Yasuhisa had warned. At the dance studio where she said she trained, he finds a man with prosthetic legs who were revealed through a flashback that he had tortured her by burning her legs when she was a child learning ballet. He goes to the bar where she had said she had worked and finds that it had been abandoned for a year following the murder and dismemberment of the owner. A local man comes in and tells Shigeharu that the police found an extra tongue, an extra ear, and an extra 3 fingers when they recovered that body. Shigeharu has hallucinations of the body pieces. Specifically the tongue. I don't remember there being much more than the tongue involved.
He really does fixate on the tongue.
It's flapping around.
Just flipping and flopping like a fish. Asami sneaks into Shigeharu's house while he is at work and becomes jealous when she sees framed pictures of Ryoko. She drugs his liquor and kills the family dog. Shigeharu comes home, drinks the spiked liquor, and collapses. He has a series of hallucinations, including flashbacks to earlier dates with Asami, where we get the dialogue that had been cut, which all alludes to her trauma. It's pretty obviously a revelation that he has been cutting these parts out himself in his memories of her in order to create this image of her that doesn't exist. He also has... Sorry. Hold on a second. I'm catching up with my thing. Oh, yeah. And also he hallucinates the sexual experiences he has had with other women, including his secretary and some of the people who came to the audition, it seems.
I don't think that's true. I think every character he sees during that whole sequence is another named character who has an important role in the movie, because it's like his secretary, his son's girlfriend, his dead wife.
That's what it was. See, I didn't realize it was his son's girlfriend, and the fucking wiki article only mentions women who came to the audition, doesn't mention his secretary at all, or his wife. So, shut the fuck up, Wikipedia. Anyway, in Asami's apartment, he sees that the sack contains a man who is missing both feet, his tongue, an ear, and 3 fingers on one hand.
Has the sack
the
even
man
been
calls...
mentioned up to this point?
It was earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just been in the backgrounds of shots in her apartment thus far, like twice.
Yeah, it was mentioned pretty early on in the review,
Okay.
or in this summary, and then not again. He crawls out and begs for food, prompting Asami to vomit into a dog bowl, which he then consumes as Shigeharu watches in horror.
Just real quick, this is my really unfun trivia that I mentioned to you guys before we started recording.
Might as well.
That is her actual vomit. She insisted on it.
Good for
The actress,
her.
Eiji Shina, is apparently a method actor, and she insisted on actually vomiting into that dog bowl. That is her real vomit.
Ew.
That's
Hey, what the fuck?
Yeah, right?
That's impressive.
Right?
Somebody check her apartment. Does she have a creepy bag?
I've
Yeah,
got
I'm a
more
little worried.
information about how she got cast in this movie, and honestly, I'm worried too.
I'm excited. I love creepy women. Anyway, let's move on here. Noah says, well, I'm launching into Noah's notes. I'm so Noah's notes filled. Sorry, the wiki says. He then sees her behead the man with prosthetic feet. She has like a wire that she uses to cut his head off. When Shigeharu wakes up, Asami informs him that he's been injected with a paralytic agent that disables his muscles but leaves him conscious and able to feel, and she begins to torture him with needles. She tells him that, just like everyone else, he has failed to love only her. She can't tolerate his feelings for anyone else, not even his own son. She inserts needles below his eyes and cuts off his left foot with a wire. As she is halfway through cutting off his right foot, Shigehiko returns home from school and Asami attacks him. Shigeharu appears to suddenly wake back up in the hotel, his current ordeal apparently just a nightmare, but this is actually just a false awakening. He proposes marriage to Asami, who accepts. As he falls back asleep, he returns to reality to see Shigehiko fighting Asami. Shigehiko overpowers Asami and kicks her down the stairs, breaking her neck. As Shigeharu tells Shigehiko to call the police and stares across the room at the dying Asami, she repeats what she had said on one of their dates about her excitement over seeing him again.
Yeah.
I want to interpret that end a little differently. I thought she was already dead and he's
still just
hallucinating.
imagining
That's how
it.
I saw
Yeah,
it as well.
yeah.
Yeah. So I want to toss a couple of things out before we get too deep into the rest of the discussion, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Yeah,
Because
fun facts.
I got some more fun facts and trivia. I mean, while we're talking about actress Eiji Shina, I'm going to just toss you everything else that I've got on her. I did not realize this in our previous episode, but when I was talking about the movie Tokyo Gore Police, she is the lead in that movie, actually. But at the time when I watched that, it had been long enough since I saw Audition, I didn't recognize her. That's her again, though, like 10 years after this.
Wild.
The way she got cast in this, she met Takashi Miike once because she saw one of his older movies, Blues Harp, I think, which is one of his Yakuza movies. It's about a Yakuza guy who like plays the harmonica or some shit.
Incredible.
Right? She saw one of his movies and was really interested in meeting him based on that. She was not properly an actress previously. She was a model. They meet each other once, and they have a conversation about her views on love and relationships. The second time that they meet each other, he offers her the lead in this movie.
Wow.
That sounds like
I'm worried.
frightening.
That is fucking scary.
That is really cool.
Right.
I'm obsessed with her immediately.
Go ahead and watch Tokyo Gore Police. It's on Shudder.
There we go.
She's
Will
also,
do.
I checked her IMDb, she's in a movie called Sky High, and I just about flipped my shit when I saw that. It's not that one, it's a different one.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. I was going to talk about the movie that the book that this is based on next, though.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and say whatever you were about to say.
Oh, yeah, it was just a brief aside. Yeah. Sorry. We had an introduction, because we have the Arrow video version of this movie. We did have a 2009 introduction from Takashi Miike, which was very, very funny, because it's very in line with, like, similar interviews I've seen with, like, Junji Ito and stuff, or the Q&A that we watched Rusty Cundiff do at Horror Fest, where it's been 10 years, it's 2009, and he basically goes, I don't know if this holds up. I hope you like it.
Nice.
So it was great. I loved it. It was awesome.
Nice. Yeah, so I had seen a bunch of stuff about the book that this is based on, and I was immediately interested because in watching this, I had an entire read, and I might end up talking too long here, so I'm going to try and shut up when I finish with this segment here. When I had watched it most recently, I had kind of assembled a read where I was perceiving her as being a kind of a supernatural character. And rather than Aoyama having like nightmares from being drugged and shit and hallucinating and whatnot toward the end of the movie and remembering things and all that kind of stuff, I kind of perceived that as her like putting upsetting images into his mind and like actually shape-shifting and shit. It was kind of how I perceived a lot of it. So I was kind of like, oh, this is a really interesting like set of things to be, you know, having going on in this story with this character, all that kind of stuff. And it kind of felt adjacent to like Junji Ito's like Tomie character and stuff like that.
She does remind me of Tomie a lot.
So I
love Tomie.
Right? So I was looking into like whether they like share an inspiration or a source material or something. Like what's in the water in Japan that this is coming out? Is this like playing on a common item in folklore or something like this? Is kind of what I was assuming.
Mm-hmm.
None of this at all. There is not anything supernatural intended at all. The book actually is way more explicit about a ton of shit than the movie is. The movie sort of intentionally makes things more vague and hand wavy at certain points and inserts a handful of like little differences in the way that certain things get played out, which is fairly common in adapting books, right? One of the big things though, and I think this might be the only detail of change that's actually important, the reason given for why her stepfather abused her the way that he did when she was a child. In the book, it is explicitly because he does not believe her to be human. Because he saw her giggle at her parents' funeral.
Yeah, that's some non-human energy.
Tell you what, if laughing at funerals is a crime, lock me the fuck up.
Oh no, this traumatized little girl had a trauma response. Yeah, she's a demon or something.
I feel like that's a really interesting detail to get intentionally left out of this adaptation. Yeah. And I don't know necessarily what to do with it, but I think it's important to make sure that you all know that, in addition to me knowing that.
No, I think that's really neat.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a handful of other things, like the ending plays out a little bit differently in the book. When we get to the ending where Asami is like cutting off Aoyama's feet, in the book they get interrupted in the middle of that process, and he with like one foot is able to escape to upstairs, and then he's the one who kicks her down the stairs, and that breaks her arm. And then it's at that point that his son comes home and ends up having to kill her by like cutting her apart with an axe or some shit.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? And then
I like the movie's ending
honestly,
better, I think.
well, but I think what clinches it for the book ending that makes me unsure is that the way that it actually like ends is that his son then goes back to him after having had to chop this woman apart, and he says, "Dad, what the fuck happened?" And the response he receives is, "Well, nothing really."
Bitches. So
Which I really kind of love as a character thing coming from Aoyama, because everything that we get from him the entire way through the movie, like every interaction that he has with any woman at all is just so weird and so awkward. It's so clear that he doesn't really know what to do with the idea that women are actually people, right? And like the way that he downplays certain things and focuses on others just Yoshikawa does this as well, right? A lot of what I'm talking about is just from like conversations between the two of them where they're all like from early on, the movie's like, well, everyone in Japan is lonely. Are you? Aren't you? And all this kind of stuff. But then when he's talking to Yoshikawa about it, they're so focused on it being just a problem that men have. And then there's women having fun, and they're like, oh, women having fun? That's fucking stupid. I'm so glad I'm not dumb like those stupid women that are over there having fun. Where are all the nice girls at? And it feels so much like the modern discourse about like the so-called male loneliness epidemic that we're living in right now. Right?
Very much.
Where it's obvious this is a literally everybody problem, but for some reason a bunch of people have decided it's men's problem and nobody else's, so that's all that gets discussed. That's how so much of Aoyama as a character comes across to me. And I love that as a means of putting that on further display. Anyways, I'm going to shut up for several minutes now.
Well, I do have something to build on top of that, because I saw some reviews that I wasn't super impressed with. One review said that this was just a sexist guy.
Sure.
But he did say that he had two complaints that I did not jive with. The first was that he didn't feel like the main character, Aoyama, he didn't feel like Aoyama deserved anything that happened to him because he was just a good, lonely guy. And I'm like, okay, he didn't deserve anything that happened to him, but you're missing the part where he did
literally auditioned for a wife.
It to be as bad as it was. I would argue he did deserve some punishment for his behavior, actually.
A lot of people are missing the stalking because he did, is the thing. So,
and the whole fake audition thing by itself is pretty horrifying. Yes,
it's pretty creepy.
Even without the stalking.
But The frustrating thing is, like, I remember how violating and uncomfortable it felt for, like, a potential job to use the phone number that they got off of my patient information at a dentist's
Yeah.
office, to call me, outside of patient things before I had even applied. And I remember how uncomfortable that was. I've never had a man do that to me. I am very, very lucky in that regard, but holy shit, if I auditioned for something, and I know this has happened to a lot of women, and like, women get this from fucking DoorDash drivers. Disgusting. And it's like, this is exactly that. So, like, yeah, okay, he's lonely, but he is not innocent. Secondarily, this reviewer was like, I just don't feel like we got enough specifics on Asami's trauma to... Yeah, Jade's looking at the camera like I just, like,
I'm gonna talk
you know,
for too long again.
spoke a different language there. That was really frustrating because you get the specifics on her trauma, and they really do inform the way that she acts. And it is a good parallel to, like Jade was just saying, the male loneliness epidemic, because Asami is so lonely, and her loneliness is treated like nothing next to his. It's just kind of quaint. It makes her like this idealized, sweet, lonely, innocent, feminine girl, that, like, she's young and she's gone through so much, and for some reason that makes her appealing.
He sees it as being for
versus
his benefit, right? Like,
exactly.
It's disgusting.
It's so gross. And I loved how it was shown by the kind of jump cuts in her conversation, where he ignores the stuff that he doesn't want to process or acknowledge about her. So that really frustrated me in that review as well. A lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I said I wasn't gonna do this.
It's okay.
That's why we're here. This is the place where we talk about horror movies,
even if
Jade.
we ignore her whole abuse backstory and everything, if we just pay attention to the lines that she says while she is sitting on top of him sticking needles into him, she is saying all the exact same incel loneliness shit that he has been saying, and she's expressing it more strongly even. She's expressing it as being this lifelong thing, whereas for him, it's like, things have been lonely ever since I lost my wife. He had his wife, though.
And he still has his son.
And he still has his son.
Nobody.
She has had nobody.
The scenes
for
of
so
him,
long. Yeah.
the scenes of him alone are him talking to his son about his son's love life.
Or
the
their
scenes of her
housekeeper.
alone, or
his secretary. Alone. Fucking ugh.
Exactly. And the scenes of her alone are her kneeling
on the fucking
still
floor.
On the floor with, at most, her last, like, if we're viewing this as a metaphor, like her last toxic situationship
Just hanging
that
over
she
her.
has.
Yeah.
That she has, exactly. So it's like, I don't know. It's a really good, it's a really well structured, like, parallel. And
she's a perfect mirror to
makes
him. Like, ugh.
Nothing makes me more angry than when someone just doesn't get it. And I might not love this movie, but that guy didn't get it. And I have a bone to pick with you, mister.
Yeah.
So
and if I could also say, and I said this on my Letterboxd review, so some of y'all might have seen this already. It is always painfully annoying to see someone misinterpret the ending of a movie or the point of a movie when the last 30 minutes of the movie is rehashing everything we have seen already and saying, oh, remember their dates that were going well? That's because he totally was ignoring that she was talking about her traumatic family life, because he's like, so is it cool being like a model or whatever? Do you like being an actress? And she's like, I'm an actress because my step-parents abused me. It's like, damn. So you must draw on that for your acting, huh? That's great. You know, like, the whole movie is put into perspective at the end. Everything you've seen through the first 3/4 of it. And then the end comes up. And all the things were like, you're like, oh, that was a little bit weird over here, but whatever. Comes to slap you in the face with Mike's thesis statement at the end of the movie, where he looks in the camera and says, this is the point.
He spells it out.
And this guy's still like, I just feel like we didn't get a lot about her trauma. Brother, did you watch the back half of the movie?
he blacked out. The needles came out and he just
He
passed
saw
out.
her with the apron and the gloves on, and he was just like, ho, 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 and that was it.
No,
Yeah.
okay. Actually, I'm not going to say that. I was about to say no straight man is attracted to that they're going to pass out, but that may not be true. She is she's something else. I really enjoy her character design in that last few minutes there.
Huge inspiration on the Saska
Mhm.
sisters in the making of the movie American Mary, unsurprisingly to anyone who has seen that movie.
Yeah,
I
that doesn't
want to
surprise me at all.
I want to watch it because of the comparisons I was seeing while scrolling through
Yeah,
the Tumblr tag.
if you like Asami from this movie, you will like Mary.
I think
Yeah.
Asami and I'm gonna bring up Malignant again.
Yeah.
And Gabriel May, like they both have things to me that I'm
They
like,
deserve each other.
I see I see their like silhouette. They do. They're both like love only me. I'm literally begging you. Oh my god, please just someone care about me as much as I care about everyone else in my life. Which is not a healthy thing.
No.
And especially not with
No,
them.
it's really not.
But I really love her character design. I am always a big fan of character design in general, but I think with her she stands out a lot without feeling unrealistic to her environment. She is like iconically designed, but I've 100% believe that is a set of materials that she put together herself. It's like big rubber
100%.
gloves
The
and a
way that the
rubber
has, like, the
apron.
big rubber band things that just wrap around her waist a bunch of times. Like, they don't sell it like that.
It looks so hot.
Yeah.
In like I think it's because I've been watching a lot of Hellraiser, so the
The
belts,
BDSM gear.
yeah, and the belts that mimic ribs
Oh,
like
shit,
around your
yeah.
waist. That is a thing that I really have been like appreciating about designs recently, and so to see it again with her was great. Also the fact that
Well,
she
Nina, let me introduce you to Final Fantasy Protect.
I'm not doing that. There's
Do you like
a line.
belts, Nina?
There's a line I have to draw in the
No
sand.
shirt, only belt.
But I like how she doesn't sacrifice her femininity in that moment. She's still a very feminine person. She's still very much herself. She's wearing a dress. Her hair's still down. Like there's no moment where she turns into like an old hag or like this like
Yeah.
uptight kind of character.
She never stops being
She's-
the cartoon of a feminine woman that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yet right down to where she's stabbing him with the needles.
Kitty, 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 kitty.
She's that is the thing that everyone picks up on, and
She's having a blast.
Having fun?
yeah.
Yeah. That noise would make a great ringtone. Kitty,
I-
kitty, 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 kitty.
What?
God, I wish my phone ever existed off silent.
Yeah, right.
Man.
Yeah.
Also, the
Jade, you've been raising
just
your hand.
the look of the gloves and the apron and stuff, also just for her to suddenly be wearing them when we see her in that one scene is so immensely striking, because she has basically only worn white up until that moment for the most part, which
Mm-hmm.
to a Western lens, you might see as being indicative, representative of like purity or fucking whatever. That we tend to view it as being. In Japan, the color white is associated with death, and
Very ghostly.
And they wanted her to look ghastly was the word that I saw used. Ghostly.
She does.
She looks like she is a representation of a person who's been dead for a while. Like.
A lot of people compare her to both the girls from The Grudge and The Ring, because she does bear a lot of similarities to a very archetypical kind of ghost from that era of Japanese like pop culture.
See story parallels between her and like Sadako from Ringu as well. I could see it, like not that it's a
Yeah,
one-to-one
for
or
sure.
something, but like if you look, it's
Yeah,
kinda
it's
there.
the echoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like...
Oh god.
This is changing the topic slightly. So, Nina, if you were staying on topic, then...
I was
okay.
about to get into my very light knowledge of kind of like 90s 2000s Japanese culture through anime, but that again it's very I don't have as much as other people do. That wasn't my real like era of anime that I watched.
Okay, got it. Well, I, from a life perspective, really love kind of topics around like emotion and rationality playing against one another, and how emotion clouds rationality in a lot of ways. And throughout this movie, like Aoyama's friend Yoshikawa and like other people and things kind of being like pointing out red flags, and they're like, be very careful, like I got a bad feeling.
Ishikawa
And
cautions
it
him
just,
hard at multiple points.
yeah.
Mhm.
And especially Yoshikawa's like initial impression. Something I found really fascinating in nature is people just getting like a bad feeling like somewhere random, and so they'll leave, and then later on they'll find out like something really fucked up like happened at that place that night. I think that's so fascinating that like our subconscious brain will pick up on details that we don't consciously notice,
Yeah.
and like the power of listening to that kind of feeling that your brain is like giving you those warning signs. And Yoshikawa kind of having that like after the interview and being like, I just get a bad vibe, I get a bad feeling about her, be very careful. He's like, I can't explain it, I don't know why, I just have a bad feeling, so proceed with extreme caution. And then like as they dig further, they're like, this producer like has been missing for a year and a half, the bar lady that she said she worked with was murdered, like all of these things keep stacking up, and this guy is just like ignoring him because like they don't fit into this mental image of the woman he really lusts over at the moment, because it's not really love. They've been on like 3 fucking dates, and then he's like, I'm gonna propose to her. It's 100% lust, and so many people fall into that as well in relationships, specifically in cases of abuse, unfortunately, is you just rationalize like the trauma that you're going through, and the bad things that are happening. But you have it with like friends a lot too, where you're dating somebody or seeing somebody or you're interested in somebody, and your friends are like, hey, this isn't good, this isn't good, and you're just like, you get mad at them because emotionally you're like, I really like this person, and because I really like this person, obviously it means this must work
Being
out.
careful isn't
Mhm.
fun.
Being careful isn't fun, being
You can
careful isn't
literally
exciting.
beg them and they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah. And I think the way this movie structured itself and kind of showed like that progression of how much he blinded himself to all of the red flags was really interesting. And I was thrown a lot towards the end after he's like poisoned and he's falling unconscious, and then he has all of these visions like about her and about like basically everything, where at first I was weirded out by it. I thought it was something supernatural, and I was like, I don't like that's happening. I don't like this supernatural thing. I don't like that he's getting some sort of vision over things he hasn't really seen before, like the guy in the bag. But I realized, because it is a long scene, I realized as it was progressing, I was like, no, I think this is more just illustrating to the audience that his brain is subconsciously finally connecting the dots. And it's illustrating that to us in this way. And I thought that was really cool and interesting. And then things progressed, and I really fucking enjoyed it. It was great.
That is actually the
Jade.
guy in the bag is actually another one of those adjustments from the book. So the guy in the
Oh,
bag is
really?
implied to be Mr. Shibata, the guy at the record company who she sort of implies a relationship early on with, and then when she's talking to Aoyama by himself, she's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of like implied to have a tighter business relationship with Mr. Shibata than I actually have, because I thought that it would make me seem more established in the industry and therefore more credible as a prospect for this part. I actually have only spoken to him a couple of times ever and haven't heard from him in quite some time." And then we find out from Yoshikawa that this man's been missing for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
In the book, it is explicitly given to us that he died while she was cutting his feet off. He had a heart attack and just bled out and died. So honestly, in my interpretation of the movie as it sits, I'm kind of choosing to read that, like, she doesn't literally have a man in a bag in her apartment that she's been vomiting into a dog bowl about and stuff, right? It's just that that's an extremely upsetting way to show us the way that she holds all of this within herself. And it's most likely that Shibata did just die while she was cutting his feet off or whatever. And a lot of what we see during that whole sequence is just Aoyama having his, like, you know, having gotten drugged and passing out from pain and whatnot, like nightmare sequence hallucination stuff. That might be wrong. I know Mike has said specifically that, because a lot of people have put together reads of the ending sequence of the movie where they think that the torture scenes themselves actually are like hallucinations or like anxieties or something that Aoyama is having because he fears the woman that he has treated in such a monstrous way basically turning it around on him. And that this is like an expression of his anxieties about the realization of how unacceptable his own behavior is. And Mike has said fully and unambiguously that is not the case. She is actually sticking those needles in him and whatnot. But he has not said anything about the rest of the scenes in that whole larger sequence. So I kind of feel like a lot of what we cut away to is not really anything that has literally occurred necessarily, but as has been pointed out by I think now three of us in this podcast here, that it's his mind putting the dots together and everything.
Yeah. And the guy in the bag, because we see him outside of like those ending like visions, where she's waiting by the telephone and the bag is there in a very haunting and like cool scene.
The shots are incredible.
Like
her, oh my God.
him finally telling Yoshikawa like, fine, I'll like wait, I won't call her immediately, and then we see her just like sitting by the phone like in this really decrepit building with this huge like ominous bag just like fucking waiting by the telephone and staring at it is fucking like terrifying and super cool.
I love the positions that she sits in as well. Her head just
her
hanging
spine pops out.
And then, oh God, I fucking love the scene when he calls her and we see her sitting on the floor just in this like draped fucking position. And we get that like low shot where we just see part of her face because her hair's coming down and everything. And we see her just start to very slowly smile before she picks the phone up. God, I fucking love that scene so goddamn much.
Very good.
She's incredible.
And I think...
my God.
She is.
Yeah, she's extremely creepy. But to your credit, I think the bag man definitely could just be a physical illustration for the audience to show like the weight of the things that she's done in the past, and not necessarily a real like physical manifestation of a thing that's actually like there that she keeps.
I think an important puzzle piece to that is that he heard that they found extra body pieces at that one murder scene. And so like his brain is like,
where's the rest of the body?
Exactly. Like, oh, there has to be some guy just missing body pieces.
Yeah. Can I talk about the most uncomfortable part of the movie for me?
Is it not the vomit scene?
Not the vomit scene.
It's not the vomit scene. It's the scene where the movie made me think they were showing me a little girl's crotch in extreme close-up.
Yeah, that actually...
Oh, yeah, that is uncomfortable.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes up a little higher. I'm like, oh, thank God.
That's for adult audience.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
For the audience. They keep showing her as a little girl in like this leotard, like dancing and everything. And her father-in-law constantly has her like lie back in a few scenes, and he like burns her.
Like
stepfather.
He burns her like upper thighs. Yeah.
He said father-in-law.
Stepfather.
Was he the stepfather? I didn't think that they were. I thought that was just the dance instructor.
He's the stepdad. Shimada, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's also the subject of a joke in an earlier part of the movie that I bet none of you caught, because I didn't either.
I don't think I did.
I don't think so either.
I'll get to it.
During one of these scenes where they keep showing her as a little girl in this leotard, they then show like extreme close-up of woman's crotch in this leotard. And I was like, what the fuck? And then it like zooms up, and then you see extremely pronounced hip bones, and then it keeps going up. And I'm like, okay, still extremely uncomfortable.
It's a
but
weird feel there for a minute.
yeah.
Which is,
What was
I
the
think,
joke that we missed?
it's
Oh, go
one
for it,
sec.
Nina.
I think it's really intentional
Yeah.
because it's like you should feel uncomfortable looking at a woman's body like this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there is a lot of that kind of feeling to the movie, which has prompted a lot of people to a number of things about the movie have prompted a handful of people to say that it's a feminist movie. Mike says it's not. Everyone who knows
I think
anything
that-
says this is not a feminist movie, and not just because Western feminism has absolutely no hold in Japan because nobody's interested.
I think that something can be about gender roles and gender dichotomy and not necessarily be feminist.
Even if it is
and that's something
critical,
that
yeah.
kind of frustrates me about modern feminists is like there's so much to be said and there's so much intersectionality and like nuance to like economic stuff and systemic stuff, and it's like, are we really just going to narrow everything down to this is a feminist retelling of blah, blah, blah? So yeah. I get it. It's definitely a good read on like the problems with, but it's not feminist because it's like we're not saying it's not girl power. She's not right for what she's doing.
No.
She's not taking revenge in a way. She is still a villain, even if she's like, and she's still wrong and it's still icky. She's complex in the way where like we can recognize that a lot of things have been done wrong to her. But also that the ultimate dehumanization that she's experienced has turned her into something that is like scary and potentially unsalvageable. And that makes you think like it is feminist in the way that like it makes you consider like how we need to save women from getting to that point where they have been so warped by other people's perceptions of them that they no longer are someone who feels human or who can act like that. But it's like, so yeah, it's feminist in that way, but like, is it feminist in like the traditionally like, oh, feminist girl power, women's rights, women's wrongs kind of way? Nah, I would not say so.
Oh, so the joke though.
Right.
During the audition
Yes.
segments, there's a handful of women that we see them asking like who their favorite actor is or something like that. One girl at one point very excitedly answers, "Oh, Ren Osugi," and then Aoyama and Yoshikawa both laugh. This is because Ren Osugi is the actor who plays Shimada.
Oh.
That's
I love that.
That's really good.
That's actually great. Yeah.
So back on
That's so funny.
Right.
I love inside jokes like
back
that.
on Asami real quick though. Specifically showing her as a child in scenes where she is not chronologically actually a child. Did you catch this? The first time that we see her is when the ad about the audition plays on the radio, and we get a shot of her as like in like her child form lying on her back on the floor listening to the radio.
I
And
didn't.
we well, now you know. So that's the first time that we see her.
You notice it on a second viewing more than the first one.
Right. Yeah. It is very much that kind of a thing because it's like you see the room and you already recognize it and you're like, oh shit, and then you're like, wait, that's a kid. Oh, that's her. And it's I feel like that and the way that sits interestingly with the, unfortunately I have to bring it up now, the vomit scene. When she is standing over the bad guy and she pets him like a dog, we see her then as the child again as well. And there's a handful of other moments throughout the movie where we see her like that, just in like an odd little moment or something. And I feel like there's a very specifically intended thing about her that is meant by that, but I haven't been able to quite put my finger on what I think it is.
Yeah, I had the same thought. It's complex enough that I like.
The movie's layered.
You know, it's
ambiguous.
it's the type of movie
and
that I
it's-
like to sit with.
Yeah, not bringing that up because I require an answer or something, or that I'm frustrated
no.
to not have
It's just
one,
interesting.
But like, there's something going on, and I haven't quite got all the way into it yet.
I pointed this out in our group chat, but I want to say it on the podcast.
Oh,
as
yes.
well. But as I was watching, the first scene that we see the filmmaker friend, whose name is Yoshikawa, during that scene, he would make his face would turn at certain angles, or he would make a facial expression where I was like, I know this guy. I was like, who is this guy? And then I was like, is this the old man from The Wailing? And so I looked it up, and it was. Yoshikawa was the old man in The Wailing, a movie which I love. And
Mm-hmm.
it's also wild because this movie came out in 99 and The Wailing came out
17?
18, I want to say.
Yeah, way later.
something like that. Sometime in the I don't think of it as like super later. I was like, dang, he's aged a lot.
Yeah, it's
Since
been
The
like
Wailing,
20
because he looks like
years.
old.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
He's really fucking
I didn't
good.
even remotely recognize him, but then once you pointed that out, I went and looked again, and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, that's him." He's very distinct once you know him.
He's also in Kill Bill, which once
shit.
you made the one observation, it came together where I was like, I do also remember him from Kill
Wait,
Bill.
who is he in Kill Bill?
So
Hold
Oh,
up.
Boss Tanaka. So I believe he's one of the villains.
For any listeners at home, this is actor Jun Kunimura. Oh shit.
So yeah, he's also in other movies that I want to see. Like he is a voice in The Boy and the Heron, I assume in the original audio. He's in Shin Godzilla, which I really, really, really want to see, but I haven't.
I've heard good things.
I've heard great things about Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, I've heard that it's like the like non-Godzilla fans Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
Like it sticks most with people who don't really like as many of the other ones.
I saw somebody making the argument that it's like a body horror movie, and that has me
It
kind
is
of like
from the clips I've seen.
Yeah, all right.
For Godzilla himself.
Oh no.
Godzilla is the one experiencing the body horror.
Oh, that's my boy.
Right? I feel the same way about him in -1, where I'm like, stop putting him
No.
through things. Oh my god. We should do Godzilla -1 soon. But yeah, no, he's a great actor. He's like not underutilized in this because his character's around just as much as he needs to be. He's a good character too. I think all the characters in this play about as much part as I need
They're
them
well
to.
put together for the story.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that not only does Aoyama romanticize Asami as like sexually pure through most of the movie, he romanticizes himself as that until the hallucination
He
scene.
does a bit, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's like, I'm just a sad widow looking for a new wife. And then during the hallucination scene, it's like, oh no. No.
Yeah. And that like suddenly
and I
puts
really
all
like
the
that.
awkwardness between him and his secretary into a way, way different light where it's like, oh yeah, when she said that she was going to be getting married soon and he like didn't react and she seemed really weirded out by that. She was hoping for a reaction and not just the way that you normally would be. Like, because like even under regular circumstances, his reaction to that was really strange. He should have like had something, right? But like,
Yeah. Anything really.
yeah, but like it's very clear that like he meant something to her after whatever it was that happened between them. Like
It kind of plays into this idea that he's not at all the kind of sweet guy that one reviewer took him for, because he does the same thing to Asami, where it's like he plays this like naive, like detached, socially like repressed kind of guy, but like
almost
he's
works.
horny as hell.
yeah,
There's like the stalking and the taking her away on a remote vacation to propose to her, and all of this stuff, that almost to me, like I would get the read of him suddenly like through his hallucinations realizing that he scared her off, because that's like, and that read to me, you know, she stopped, she left like hard quit after he had sex with her, and she had this realization of, I'm being used and he's been terrible to me. At that moment, like, wow, he didn't really react to my trauma at all. He told me what I wanted to hear. Like, I'm out skis. And he then has this like full on hallucination of like, this is what I deserve for how I treated her. And this is like, if there was any justice in this world, this is what she would come and do to me. But,
I can definitely see that read. If
so
it
I
weren't
do
for
enjoy
Mike
that
saying
read.
That's not it, but
right, of course. Like he's got the final say, and I
I like
obviously
that that's
the
all he has
realist.
apparently said about that. It's just, no, those parts are real.
And that's so good.
It's based, honestly.
But like I understand how people have come to the other. There are a lot of theories we hear on this podcast where I'm like, that makes this movie boring. That negates the themes. I don't like that theory at all. This is not one of those. This is one where I'm like, damn, I can see how a read like that would
work
make the
either way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I love how in the sex scene, when he goes to lie down with her and she like swipes the blankets over him, we get the same like kind of movement and noise as when the guy in the bag moves in her apartment in those other cutaway scenes. Did you notice this?
I didn't know.
Okay.
But that's
Next
interesting.
time you watch it, pay attention to the way that she throws the blankets over him and the movement of the blanket and the noise that plays at that exact moment is very similar to the movement of the bag as it like rolls on the ground and the noise that it makes. So it feels to me like that's
I like
kind of
that.
the moment that he has like stepped into her, like, you know, gotten caught in her web or whatever, right? That's the moment that she has like got her hooks in him finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of noises, I've got to bring up my favorite part of the movie, the dubbing of the dog.
Dubbing.
Oh
of
my
the
God.
It sounds so terrible every single time.
It's not great.
And it's so funny.
It's really, really funny.
I remember it really got me the first time I watched this. I don't know why it did not stick out to me this time. I just kind of was like, and as we all know.
Well, yeah, you
Kind of
just
like
start with
Christian
the
Bale in
dogs.
House Moving Castle, where I'm like, I got it. I'm not shocked by this anymore. It's just a thing that exists in this movie.
Yeah, he just sounds like Patrick Bateman.
That dog, though. That's a cute fucking dog.
It's a cute fucking dog.
It is
and
a
then
really
she
cute
kills
dog.
the shit out of him.
She kills the shit out of that dog.
And we can-
she can't have...
We can thank Mike for the fact that we didn't have to watch it happen. Because in the book, she cuts the dog apart in front of him. It's a really, really explicit scene, apparently. And Mike was like, you know, that's a lot. We don't have to do that.
Yeah, that would have bumped the scare rating up at least to
It
2
would have made
points.
the movie feel an awful lot worse, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah.
All right.
thanks, Mike.
Okay, Mike. That's cool.
What
You
Noah
just look at a
has
bunch of fucked up
Noah
stuff that
frantically
wasn't in the book, but
Googled
you didn't make us watch a dog get dismembered, so thanks.
Noah, when you said that, Noah Googled Ichi the Killer. I assumed to see when it came out. Does that have anything to do with the dog thing?
Not the dog
Does something happen to a dog
specifically,
in Ichi
but
the Killer?
no, but Mike does think it's really important to get the jizz forming the words Ichi the Killer that are in the manga. He thinks that's very important to include at the very beginning of Ichi the
That
Killer.
is either immense talent or a terrifying medical condition.
Doctor, you gotta help me. Every time I come, it spells Ichi the Killer.
What? What are you talking about? Show me. Oh, okay.
Oh my god. I need to watch this movie, apparently. I do want to watch that and Lumberjack the Monster?
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to do Lumberjack the Monster on the podcast sometime.
yeah.
Sometime next year.
I keep thinking I should get into
I've-
more Mike, especially now.
I mean, Mike March is right around the
Mike
corner.
March is
No.
right around. Oh,
That's
I think
true.
I don't know that I can do. That'd be like
no,
making
that's
me do
right.
fucking.
We don't
what's-
have to
what's,
wait that long. Takashi Sember is
like-
right now.
We could do Aronofsky April and ruin my life.
God.
We could do Aronofsky April and Mike March. It's only two from each.
Godzilla-uary.
Godzilla-uary?
Are we actually going to do
Godzilla-uary.
Argentovember next year then? 'Cause-
No,
We
please,
cannot-
God, I can't do it.
We cannot possibly jeopardize
You can't
that
make me
much
do
of our
it.
year.
Actually, I need to say this out loud before I ever forget about it. Hypothetical letterboxd review for Opera when I finish watching it is just going to be me saying, "This is crazy. This exact thing happened to my buddy Dario."
Thank
you. Anyway.
That's a good hit.
Dario is such a good name.
Honestly,
The Italians really popped off with their names, I
they
think.
really, really did.
I've been playing a lot of Dragon Age Veilguard, and there's a lot of good Spanish and Italian names kind of sprinkled in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And I've been thinking, like, damn, there's a lot of good names over there in the Mediterranean area.
Like,
What was I
you
going
go
to say
just
about
a
this
few
movie?
miles too far north, and they start naming bitches Gunther. Can you believe it?
That's what I'm saying.
How did it happen? Where did we go wrong? The Roman Empire did not colonize Germany hard enough. I'm gonna say it.
I wasn't ready for that.
Oh, I'm trying. Jade thinks she's really funny for that one, and she's right. I'm trying to think about what I was gonna say. Oh, after watching robot sex movie,
Right?
Japanese robot sex movie.
Sure. I don't know which Gundam show
You
that
know.
is.
Are we
Okay.
trying to guess?
It's
Did
the
we do
black
it
and white
on
one.
here?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Did we do it here?
Are you
The
talking?
It's a
metal-
black and white movie that
Tetsuo the
rules
Iron
me
Man.
out.
Are
I
you
don't know.
talking Tetsuo the
Yes,
Iron
I'm
Man?
talking about Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good God! Why did everyone look at me like I was crazy?
That's
It's applicable
I've never
to a
seen it.
conversation.
I don't
He's
know.
a robot. He's the Iron Man.
He's an
He's
iron
Tony Stark.
fetishist.
He built that suit in a
With a box of
cave with a box of scraps.
Legitimately.
And then he said, "Damn,
Anyway.
this is flawed. My drill dick is rusting. I need to create the stainless steel man, and he will be invincible."
Jeez.
And that guy was
Anyway,
Jeff Bridges.
I'm finished with this bit. I'm moving.
No.
forward.
Why did you bring up Tetsuo?
Because between that and this, I'm like, there's a whole genre of J horror that I feel just is more like, I do enjoy the kind of like ghost haunting, the way that Japan tells those stories, but there's something about like stories involving sex in in movies that are really interesting to me, in the way that they handle like homoeroticism and gender and stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes me really interested. That's part of why I want to watch more Mike.
Yeah, more Mike, maybe more Sugimoto. I think about watching more Sugimoto every now and then, because like I've heard that the Tetsuo sequels are not great, but I really want to watch them anyway.
Yeah, I was planning on watching.
I mean,
them.
if Body Hammer
I don't
is
think I
bad
will.
enough, maybe
I
I
don't know
won't
if I
watch
will.
whatever the third one is called. But like, I'm intending
Bullet Man.
the Bullet Man. Yeah, just because it's called the Bullet Man, I'm gonna watch it. Come on, I mean, come on.
Body Hammer is just a remake of Iron
But
Man
it's in color, which
with
is
a better
like,
budget.
Not. Yeah, I
think
wanna
part of the
see it,
appeal
but
to me,
the black and white is important, isn't it?
it really makes the kind of question of where man begins and metal ends like much more interesting to me.
And it's what makes the effects
in a way that
actually
like
hit, right?
it's very similar to how I don't think you should ever adapt Junji Ito's work in color, because I think so many of his effects that he achieves through his ink hatching are entirely dependent on that work being in black and white. Specifically with Uzumaki, because so much of the body horror is a question of like warped and contorted body parts.
Right.
And it's like, if you're having clothes melt into skin, melt into another person, it's like that looks really uncomfortable in black and white. But then the moment that you start trying to, and I know this from experience,
Right, it starts looking
from
like Brian
trying
Usna
to,
shit.
it's really hard. It looks either really muddy and like just not very good, or it looks too defined and you lose a lot of the like your brain filling in the gaps. So that's how I feel about Tetsuo the Iron Man as well. As I'm like, if I could see skin tone or clothes or metal on metal, I just don't think it would work for me.
R.I.P. to that Uzumaki anime. What a letdown. God.
I still need to watch the first episode. I heard it was very
The
good,
first
but that's
episode's
pretty much all I'm
solid
planning on
for the
doing.
most part, yeah. But then
Honestly, I'd rather just read the manga
that's
again.
pretty much where I landed halfway through the second episode.
I need Noah to watch it or to read it anyway, so I'm probably gonna hit a store soon and get a copy.
Book club.
I need Noah to experience Uzumaki and Isaac Asimov's iRobot collection, like the original short
The
stories.
manga?
That's like my right.
Hey, I read Prelude to Foundation.
The manga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm growing older, okay, this is such an off-topic thing, and then we can finish up probably. As I get older, I realize that the things that my brother was into when he was a shitty teen are not necessarily great. And the Foundation series is one of those that people I respect now are either really hot or really cold on them. And I think that I just need to accept that they're probably not for me. But I like other Asimov stuff, so I think mostly short form. I think old school sci-fi hits for me hardest in the short form because the moment that these men in the 70s start world building is when they lose me.
So I was going to mention how Frank Herbert wrote Dune largely as like an answer to the Foundation series, but I feel like I'm only losing you harder on the Dune train if I say that.
Dune is the epitome of sci-fi I probably won't like, to be 100% honest
I
with you.
could predict that actually just by the specific way that it was my dad's favorite thing, you know?
Your dad liked Dune and Foundation a lot, and I think that
guy is the thing.
Yeah, I think that tells me a lot about Dune and Foundation and your dad, and all in a way that I like appreciate, but also in a way that tells me that those are probably not things for me.
Yeah, in terms of media interests, you and him are just like opposing
Star Trek,
opposing flavors of autistic for most purposes, right?
We overlapped hard on Data in the Next Generation, and that might have been it.
That's the one part of the Venn diagram that literally everybody comes together for. We all love Data.
Impossible not to. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with Takashi Miike's 1999 movie, The Audition.
Far enough off topic that we need to drag it back and end the episode.
Noah, do you have things to say?
If you want Miike March to happen, vote on it.
No.
Let us know. We
Tell
want to hear
us in the
people's
Discord.
voice.
In the Discord, we care about your opinion. You want us to cover anything,
Yes.
you just tell us, we will hit it.
Actually,
Unless it's a
that.
hard
Actually,
line that
genuinely.
we
Yes.
don't want to do, which we have those set aside.
We're not
but,
doing.
like,
I think it's mostly Jeepers Creepers.
it's mostly Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, I'm not
and things of that
touching that.
nature, but well, not things of that nature. Things of like Serbian film,
Creators of that nature.
Serbian film, 120 Days of Sodom kind of shit. We will not do. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, come on, our hardline no's are rather few. And if you're in the Discord, we know you, and we know you probably wouldn't suggest that shit anyway. So like,
Imagine, if you will, Miike March, where we cover Lumberjack the Monster, very accessible film, and Ichi the Killer,
Ichi the
very
Killer.
unaccessible
That's what
film.
we do, yeah.
Let's go. Could be
or
crazy.
Ichi the
we do
Killer-
the Ace Attorney movie, and then the Diamond is Unbreakable movie.
I'm just gonna shout out Godzilluary again, because we could do Shin Godzilla and then Godzilla -1.
I would
I love
actually
Godzilla.
genuinely be super into
I
that.
would be
So, and I
so
know a
into
person we might
Now,
ask to guess.
Is Godzilluary in January or February?
I think we
February.
should
Okay,
call it.
that's what I
think
thought.
we should call it Kaijuary, maybe. And then when we come back to it, it's not necessarily.
Shut the fuck up,
exclusively-
Jade. That's a better name. God damn it.
We could watch the original Mothra, which I have seen and is one of the only original kaiju movies that I've seen. It's not good.
We can try
Mothra's
and
not great,
find
though.
which Mecha Godzilla I
I
have
love
seen.
Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla so much.
But yeah, so please chime in on the Discord if you ever have anything that you'd like us to cover.
And specifically
We are
about
definitely-
Miike March.
And specifically about Miike March. And it's not that we're running out of things to talk about because we never
God,
will.
no.
No.
But
Yeah, Cinephile era Noah is digging up more and more dog shit to make you all watch every day.
I don't even have to dig.
So-
It's in a pile in my backyard.
You're supposed to clean that up, actually. It's
Every day I throw
Polite.
more
It's a
on.
city ordinance.
are we ready for Noah's
Piles
notes?
under my bathroom window
Yeah.
for no reason.
Nina in tears, terrified of the possibility of Miike March. If I say it enough times, everyone will just agree it's gonna happen. Just like Godzilluary.
Nuh-uh. No. Anyway, Noah's notes. Noah says, biggest cope over here, referring to the fishing scene in the beginning of
Oh my
the
god,
movie.
yeah.
I'm trying to just catch the huge fish. You just don't get it, kid.
I love that so much.
especially-
Like, wow, no luck,
I
huh?
especially love the way that his son responds to that. He doesn't miss a beat, and he's just like, yeah, well, I prefer real girls over imaginary fish. Fucking roasted.
Get his ass. Their relationship is genuinely really cute.
Yeah.
I love Shigehiku as a character
fun.
because, you know, he adds to the kind of like sexism and chauvinism angle,
Absolutely.
but his relationship with his dad is like, you buy it when the whole like, you're not even allowed to love your own kid. It's like, well, but he does
Uh-huh.
a lot actually. So I buy it for as little as he's like in the movie. Noah says, I do appreciate that he's looking for a more age-appropriate wife in his search.
Immediately goes out the window, but he at least says it
drops
at first.
hard and
because
fast,
he's
yeah.
lying to himself.
Yeah.
It's all about him lying to himself from the get-go. Noah says, oh, yes, this is good. Noah says a lesser film would have his maid or whoever seem like she was interested in him, only to hit us at the end with, oh no, they should be together. If only he had looked right under his nose. But I really don't think that would work out, mostly because I don't think he's been looking until just now. So who even knows what's going on in his head outside of him being just a bit down?
And then later in the film, we see that he hooks up with his secretary. So he has been like kind of looking around, and she is right under his nose.
Yeah.
It would not work. It's a terrible power
Or
imbalance,
just
right?
using
But like
the women in his life, if not looking around per se,
Yeah.
which is like worse.
no, it's
At least looking around is
a
honest.
very objectifying thing, you know?
And that's very
Yeah.
much the tone of all the gender relations in the movie, right? I mean, just from the beginning, when his son is like, Dad, you seem tired. You know what you should do? You should find a woman. That'll fix you. That's what they do, right?
Yeah, right.
And he's like, yeah, I suppose that will work. And then he has that conversation with his housekeeper where she's like, oh yeah, men always need women to prop them up. And then she looks at him pointedly. Like,
God, I love it.
Well, he is a wreck.
he is a wreck.
Just like Mark Hoffman after his sister died.
Just like Mark Hoffman after his sister died. He got trussed
I
up
bet you
like a
didn't even
ham.
know Mark Hoffman's sister died.
Noah says, imagine actually thinking that calling a girl who auditioned for your program to say, hey, I think you're hot, want to get together sometime. And then his note ends. I assume he was going to say, is a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a full thought.
Well, you know what? I was not typing on my laptop because it was in the shop.
Oh, yeah,
I
he
was
was
typing
using
on
my
Nina's
iPad.
iPad, and that thing's keyboard is smaller than I am used
Yeah.
to.
And my hands are smaller than his, so it's perfect for me. Noah says, Chekhov's vanishing record label manager. If a record label manager is mentioned, he must go off in the third act. Noah says, ah, yes, the strangely man-shaped sack in the other room.
I wonder what might be in there.
Noah says, 24, Aoyama, please. Which is
Like,
true.
his son is even like, oh, so she's more like my age.
Like he's putting it out there. Noah says, no coaster. Oh, you do live dangerously.
Just sets it right down on there, yeah. Ice in the glass and all. And he's got like an established beverage problem in the movie as well. The reason he looks at Asami's resume when he does is because he spills coffee on it. Man can't be trusted with liquids.
No.
It's fate.
Noah says, just takes this girl vanishing for him to finally look into her fucking story at all. Truly a guy who has it all together.
Right. Actually,
Noah says, go ahead,
well,
Jade.
I just I'm like jumping backwards a good bit here to something I forgot to say earlier during the audition scenes and stuff.
Oh,
when
go for
Asami
it.
shows up, right? We do not see her shot from the front until Aoyama asks the question about her ballet. Did you catch this? We don't see her face like in person. The camera is behind her, like behind the chair. She walks in, sits down, talks, and it like slow zooms in on his face as he's just like staring at her. And then we don't get to look at her again at all until after he asks the question, and then it cuts to that shot of her facing him, and she's like, well, yeah, you can ask about that. And I feel like that is so like indicative of him, and in his, we were talking earlier about his like lust for her, his like obsession with this idea of her that he's built in his head, and the way that like that's kind of visually
If you
showing
will,
us
his objectification.
exactly. And the way that in that scene, that's like visually just showing us like, yeah, he's not listening to a single fucking word that she says. She walks in and he's just thinking, I've got the thing that I'm gonna say, and then he takes basically
And
his
then he
question is
doesn't
just a statement
ask.
of a bunch of things. He's not asking anything
It's
at
him.
all.
It's him
Yoshikawa
actively
even makes
projecting
fun of him
onto
for
her.
it. Yeah.
He literally
He doesn't
says,
see her
"I
at
read
all.
this." He says, "I read this in your resume. This is what I think it means about you." And it's like, I think what I love about this is like, I'm going to compare this movie to Scott Pilgrim for a second.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think that this movie does what Scott Pilgrim has been trying to do since the comics came out. And it does it so much better, because the problem with Scott Pilgrim is that, and no offense to Ramona Flowers, but to get it through people's thick skull that romanticizing a woman and dehumanizing her is wrong and like super like uncomfortable for the woman, you have to like get her to the point where the thing that she does is have extreme trauma and kill and dismember people. It can't just be, oh, she has some like genuine, relatable, real world trauma and she kind of serially dates people, because men will still romanticize the shit out of that. They still don't, they can't get it that Ramona Flowers and Asami are the same character. They go through the same arc, but, and I think part of this, the problem is the ending, though I like the ending of Scott Pilgrim, because it is like, okay, but two people who are pieces of shit do still deserve to continue living their lives, and that might even be together. But it's like, damn, it pisses me off so much that this is the level it takes for that to land the way like that Scott Pilgrim tries to so hard. But that's my thought, because I do really love Scott Pilgrim and I love the story that it tells. I just think that like the same projection problem, the scene of Scott and Ramona meeting is so similar to the scene of Aoyama and Asuma meeting, you know, and the dates are so similar. It's I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Tangent.
Yeah,
Good
cool
tangent,
shit.
though.
You're good.
Noah says, every time he asks anyone about Asumi, they either confirm that she's been lying or that she was just kind of a weird person. Every lead he follows up on, man, all of them were lies. He really could have taken 2 seconds to look into things, but he was too blinded by love or whatever.
It's so obvious, too. It's always that, like, her story doesn't check out by a number of years. Like, the Shibata had been missing for 18 months. The bar had burned down and been closed for an entire year. Like, it's not even, like, near-miss kind of stuff. It's not even like, well, I guess she could get a detail wrong or something like this. It's like, well, no, she was very obviously lying when she said that. And he just sees nothing.
And his friend was like, yo, hey, pump the brakes.
Slow down.
I had some of my friends look into her. None of her sources line up. And he's like, oh, yeah. Yo, young
But
people are
she's hot,
terrible
though.
young people are just so bad at keeping records.
Noah says, fuck, I forgot that all the cuts in the first date were actually moving around him ignoring her red flags and trauma just to focus on the bright moments. So it wasn't necessarily lying. He was altering his memories of what happened, glossing over the whole situation. Yes. That just kind of wraps in everything that we already talked about. Noah says there's also the angle where he hallucinated his wife. Something we haven't talked about is the consistent guilt that he feels for replacing his wife.
How he keeps ignoring it. It keeps coming up, and you keep expecting him to react to it, to do something with it, and he keeps not doing that.
He kind of like a drone, like moves through it, very similar to the way where he moves through other, like his interaction with his secretary. And it's like, I do have a lot of sympathy for Aoyama, because he's clearly still he's like in denial, he's grieving, he's ignoring that trauma. And his son recognizes it and his friend recognizes it, but because of kind of the chauvinism in society, they think, oh, the solution to your loneliness is not to like reach out and ask for help. It's just to replace your woman.
Yeah. And I love how blatantly, like, I don't know, how incredibly on display his apathy toward that whole thing gets put up at the end in the torture sequence when he's like having the hallucination and stuff, and he has that like date nightmare where he sees his wife and like his son as a child over at that other table and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, Ryoko, hi, I want to introduce you to Asami, as though that's like a perfectly regular thing to do. And like, dream logic, sure, whatever. But then she just keeps like staring at Asami, and she's like, no, that girl's trouble, you need to stay away from her. And he just ignores her. Even the dead wife, even the person who he says he misses, even the person who he says his life is missing something without after all this time, he won't listen to her at all. He is too obsessed with getting Asami. The fact that even the conceptual weight of the dead wife is worthless to him at this point, right?
No, yeah. He's so...
Yeah, he goes from turning her photo around because he feels bad about like doing the audition to being like, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
He's too deep in it at that point. Noah says, okay, I get angrier and angrier whenever we get another flashback in this incredibly telegraphed ending at that one review about the guy talking about how we don't get enough info about her and it doesn't make sense why she's like this.
Yeah, what is that guy's problem? What the fuck?
Yeah, I sent a screenshot of that part of the review to Noah, because it was a very long and very incorrect review.
Oh yeah.
But that part pissed us both off so
Like
much.
Reddit theory that I found.
I think what
God, I love that so
that Reddit
much.
theory was so funny. We'll have to close out with that because we have not mentioned that yet. Noah says the ending is tragic. It's a bad situation for everyone involved. It's a really good movie that just drags a little in the middle, like a lot of Mikei's work that I've seen. Good movie. To know why I didn't like it the first time. I know why we didn't like it the first time, as previously stated. But Jade, the Reddit theory, please.
All right,
It's so
I
bad.
have just scrolled up in the Discord chat to pull it back up so that I can make sure I'm not like misrepresenting this jackass.
We got to be real to
So
this
is
Reddit jackass.
This is in the r/fan theories subreddit 7 years ago. The should I say the guy's username?
No.
Okay.
Let's keep him
No.
anonymous.
I mean, it's like if you Google the right thing to do with the movie, it's like top result front page of Google, so like it shows up easily enough. Okay, so what this guy says is theory, the auditions are not a ploy to meet women. They are real auditions for a movie that Aoyama is making.
How many years ago is this?
7
Is
years
that what I'm saying?
ago.
7
yeah.
years ago.
So I'm gonna hit you with the first few paragraphs of what he has to say here. The common interpretation of
Oh my
Audition is
God.
that Aoyama, a middle-aged man who has decided to date again, decides to hold a fake audition for a fake movie in order to trick women into interacting with him such that he can find a woman who fits the qualities that he wants in a woman. He does this with the help of a friend who works in the film industry. The fake audition gives him a guise to ask personal questions which directly relate to qualities that Aoyama wants in a woman. In this way, he meets Asami, who appears quiet and submissive, but instead she goes crazy and tries to kidnap, mutilate, and torture him. Viewed in this way, the film is pretty jarring, with dramatic and unexpected tonal shifts, and a plot that gingerly touches on rom-com before skipping into horror. While the movie is still amazing with that interpretation, I think there are better ways to interpret the film, which make it a really dynamic, amazing, and underappreciated work of brilliance. Basically, I think the audition that is held in the movie is a real audition for a movie which Aoyama has written and plans to star in about a guy who holds an audition to find a wife. There are a few scenes which are key to this interpretation, and he proceeds then to tag a bunch of particular scenes and write for way too long about how basically
Yeah, no, this is like 10
it's
paragraphs
so
of fan
long.
theory.
I'm going to give you 2 more shorter paragraphs of theory here. The bar scene. Approaching the scene as a work meeting between 2 coworkers who are friendly as opposed to an evening of drinks between 2 friends enables a complete reinterpretation of the dialogue between the two. When the audience joins the two of them, they are in discussion about financing in the film industry. This introduces the focus of the meeting. Aoyama is actually in the meeting to make a film proposal to Yoshikawa. The audience joins them after the meeting has started, in the middle of Yoshikawa hemming and hawing about how it is more difficult to achieve financing now than it was 10 years prior. The scene proceeds thusly. Yoshikawa asks Aoyama pointed questions, which Aoyama answers in a surprisingly expository manner for longtime friends. Aoyama talks about himself. I'll elaborate in a second. What? Several women get belligerent and disrupt their conversation. That's not even what happens. Yoshikawa talks about how women today are the worst, and then Aoyama says, "That's the story." This is the single most important moment to this interpretation because it is Aoyama literally telling the audience that he is talking about a movie plot. I'm going to stop here because I think you see where this is going. This is stupid as shit, right?
Right, like where does
yeah.
that leave things?
I
What's
love
the
that
movie
this
if this is
guy-
the read? Why does he think this is a cooler read of the movie?
My favorite thing about this means that this guy not only came up with all of these connecting things to make it make sense, but he fully has bought into, oh yeah, I'm sorry, the movie fell through because we couldn't secure funding. The line that he gives as an excuse. He fully buys in to the, oh shit, I gotta make this seem less weird. Yeah, man, the movie fell through. So it sucks. No one's getting to make the movie.
And I love that this is all capped off by the fact that the only comment on the post is from a mod, and it simply says, "This is the third time you've submitted this post, deleting the previous 2. Cut it out."
Yep.
Doesn't that just say it all?
This guy is convinced he is the only person who is watching Audition correctly.
only
It's so
one.
goofy because everything he brings up is the type of shit that other intelligent reviewers have pointed out as deconstruction of rom-com tropes.
Which is very much what a lot of
And
the early parts of the movie are doing, right? It's straight rom-com for a lot of scenes. The audition scenes themselves, the way that they're shot and edited, hilarious. It's very fun.
Yeah. And instead, this guy's like,
That's
nah,
the real movie.
no, the people who have thought they figured this out, they're stupid. I've figured it out. It's actually a rom-com.
The fake movie is the real movie. Like, what the fuck? What kind of read is that? It doesn't even work.
Yeah, it's real bad. It literally doesn't, and then his explanation for what the ending means falls off again. And it's like, okay, so then if that is your read, the movie doesn't end. There is no ending, if that's what you're saying.
There's no movie.
It cuts off.
It's like...
It's so stupid. Anyway, that's been the complete breakdown of our sanity while talking about Audition.
Yeah.
Thank you for thank you for
That's what this has
listening.
been.
Next time we will be talking about Gremlins, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that next?
I do believe it is. Because that's
Yes,
that's
it
the
is.
Christmas episode.
It's our Christmas movie,
It
Gremlins.
is Gremlins Christmas episode.
Very excited. I
Who
Yeah.
all in this podcast
I have nothing
has
else to
seen
say.
Gremlins before?
Not me.
Not me.
Just
Not me. I imagine I'll hate it, but I'm excited.
I'm not thinking I'm probably gonna like it that much. It feels like one of those movies that has a lot of nostalgia connected to it, like Home Alone, where I just am like,
Yeah.
I don't like Home Alone because I never watched it as a
I'm
kid.
Yeah.
preparing to log the cleanest 2.5 out of 5 of my life.
Sounds about right. I do think a bunch of the humor in the movie will still hit, but it's tough to tell for who of you it's gonna hit for.
Yeah, the main thing I know about Gremlins is the Key and Peele sketch for Gremlins 2, where I think Jordan Peele comes in dressed as like a producer coming into the lighting room, and it's like everybody gets to make a gremlin, and people are just throwing out random ideas for gremlins, and they're like, what about a girl gremlin? And they're like, yes, and it's incredible.
That is
if you haven't
incredible.
watched it, check it out. It's
The
so
Gremlins
funny.
are not nearly as individualized in the first movie as they are in the second. So,
That's why the Key and Peele sketch is funny.
well, I'm
So
just
I'm
if you're
excited to-
expecting fun themed Gremlins, you're not going to get them in this one. Is all I'm saying.
I will temper my
That's
expectations
okay.
accordingly.
I know
not.
there's just base gremlin in
You
the
will
first
get a
one.
Furby
so.
singing
That's the
a
only
song,
gremlin I'm
so,
aware
like,
of.
There's that.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that
There we go.
gremlins were hugely minionified back in the
Very
day.
much,
so
very much. Gremlins were kind
yeah.
of the original Minions in a way. I think
yeah.
you might all
so, but
enjoy some
to
of the...
be so fair, the original Despicable Me is pretty fucking good.
It's fun.
So-
it's fun,
It
for
is.
sure.
So maybe Gremlins is the same, and I'll come back to eat these words.
True.
But that's why we make predictions at the end of our episodes now, is so that we can regret them
I
later.
do like that that's a thing that we've made a habit of, honestly.
Anyway, so until then, you can find us in our Discord, and you can find the Discord through us on social media. Please reach out if you feel comfortable, and we will give you an invite. You can find us on Blue Sky at Casual Horror Pod.
At casualhorrorpod.com.
.com.
Yeah, we got our custom.
Yeah, we got a
URL.
custom URL, baby.
Whoa.
And with that in mind, you can find us on our website, which is casualhorrorpod.com, correct?
Yes.
And there are some articles there that Noah's written. I promise.
Before the year is out, Nina will have an article, and I might have another one.
Yeah, it's finished. I just gotta tighten it up a bit.
Nice.
So,
And one day you'll get my 10-page essay about I Saw the
I am
TV Glow.
super looking forward to it. I need to finish Church of the Mountain of Flesh first, but then once I'm done with it, you guys are going to be getting an essay about that
Hell
as well.
yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and also you can find me, Nina Wolverina. Nina Wolverina on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on Twitch sometimes, streaming, drawing when I have the energy. I post art, I write books. I have, I think, 5 works out right now that you can access. And the one I want to pitch right now is I wrote a sci-fi horror short story that's available on itch.io. And I really like it very much. It's kind of Alien and Event Horizon adjacent. So if that sounds fun to you, do go check it out. Other than that, I do a lot of fantasy horror. So check that out too. Also with me are Noah. Where do we find you?
Hello, my name's Noah. You can find me at Bubba the Bad, BUBBADABAD on Blue Sky and Letterboxd, and sometimes Tumblr. Yeah, that's right. I got my bit down this time.
Yay!
I am very
Yay.
active on Blue Sky, and I am very active on Letterboxd. I actually just looked into it. 2 more movies, and I hit the big 420, baby. 420.
Hey.
I just need to watch 2 new movies,
Nice.
but I have watched, including repeats, 433 movies
Yo,
this
hell
year.
yeah.
What's your 420th movie gonna be?
Slumber
If
Party
we're being
Massacre
honest, probably a mistake.
2? It should be, you should make
I'm
it
making him
Slumber
watch
Party
one movie,
Massacre
but it'll
2.
probably be the 419. What is you? Slumber Party
It
Massacre
needs
2
to
is your
be-
bid?
I think it should be Slumber Party Massacre 2 that gets to be number 420, personally. It would have been better
Okay.
for it to be
I'm
number
making-
69, obviously, but
I'm making him watch Ravenous, so it's possible that we'll hit
I
bop
hear
bop.
great stuff about Ravenous.
It's something.
I will try and make something happen. I can't
It will hopefully
promise
not
anything.
be. Well, I guess that's a
It's
rewatch.
gonna end up being Texas
Didn't we
Chainsaw
already?
It will not be Fury Road again when I watch it again.
And we watched all the Saw movies this year, so any Saw movies would only count as a rewatch,
We
right?
did not rewatch them all this year.
Why do I feel like we?
It was a year and a half ago.
What the
Damn.
fuck?
Oh, damn.
I don't remember shit. My memory is so bad. Anyway, who else is
Who
here?
else is here? It's probably me, Jade, and you can find me on the if by some chance you somehow haven't heard enough from me over the course of this episode, you can hear more from me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For, and potentially a little bit on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan.
And I'm Emma. You can find me places.
Hell yeah.
Find me in the Discord. I'm there. You can hang out with me here, and you can tell me your favorite thing about me. But yeah, my existence on the rest of the internet is constantly in flux at the moment. But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time, and we hope you have a great next couple weeks. Until then, goodbye.
I just want to catch big fish.
Jesus.